Boom, 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 boom. Give me a minute. Gotta get my eyes together. Yeah. P. Mm-mm-mm. Mm-mm-mm-mm. Oh, oh, peace. Mm-mm-mm. Mm-mm. Give it a couple minutes. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. I know I was running a little late, but we'll go for about 30 minutes, maybe an hour. We'll see. How we go. Mm, 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 mm. A lot of it, a lot of it, a lot of it. Oh, peace, man. Just want to jump on here and holler at the people for a minute. Peace, everybody. Hope everybody having an amazing day. Mm-hmm. But I hope everybody good. But yeah, man. Had a nice day today, busy day. So I was glad to be home for a while to visit, especially visit my family, visit a lot of people I went to school with. We're having a 30-year class reunion coming up in August, so that's gonna be cool. But I definitely want to give honor to the new graduates this year, the 2025 college graduates, and even high school graduates, but especially the college graduates, those, especially those that I had the pleasure and the honor to help tutor. I want to give you honor and your parents honor for trusting me, for helping you, get past that hump, thinking this academic endeavor is something that misnumbered melanated people can't do. Excuse me. So I want to give the students and the family honor for trusting me and opening up their doors, and showing a lot of families and a lot of young men and women, that this academic endeavor is something that we should be. you know, approach it, especially if we have the right people around us that can help us succeed, that been there. Because a lot of kids struggle from my experience tutoring kids in college, especially going for bachelor degree and master degree, is the writing form, how to write an APA format, you know, and that format is kind of tricky. And then also another struggle is how can I say it, navigating the online library to do your research. So a lot of those things are humps which students have, and they can get over if you have an ally or a mentor like myself or others. But specifically, I want to talk about a group of people, you know, that may be misnomer Negro, Black, and Colored, or African American, or ETC. That's something specifically what I want to talk about. You know, one, I always say I love all men. Anybody that know me personally, from all the people that I helped, no matter what color, the prisons I went to, the color doesn't matter. But the righteousness and how can I say it? The glorification for a people, especially a people that I identify with, is my mission. You know, is there other things in my mission, in my life work that fits in that category? Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely does. You know, but for me and my life work, you know, is to here to liberate my brothers and my sisters and to teach righteousness for all men because righteousness is for all men. I want to say that. Righteousness is for all men under the sound of my voice. I have a lot of brothers and sisters that's not melanated per se that rock with me. And I'm their teacher, their rabbi, their shaman, or their brother, you know. So, but I have the right to talk about the liberation for a group of people that may identify or may have been called misnomers, Negro, colored, black, or African American. You know that you know, and this conversation always come up a lot of times when I come back home to Flint, Michigan. You know, because I graduated from a university called Cleary University. It's one of the hardest business universities that I researched because you have to do dissertations after each class, and that's what pushed me there. But also the type of research and just the how can I say it, the responsibility and the intense of data and knowing what you know was valid and important to me. And so when I my identification of more science and just like I said, I'm no one. I'm just myself. But the science that I have and the pleasure that I have, I'm able to teach more science and speak freely in different walks of life. Like you may see some Moors and they diss academia. I don't diss academia. They may say the white man is, but if we talking all this ancient science, most of the universities come from a certain geographical area. Writing come from a geographical area, no matter what color it is. Signs and symbols come from a specific group of people, no matter how no one like it or not. My thing is to impart wisdom and give you a choice and give you something that you can compare to and say, okay, I see this. And so when brothers be saying laws and things and trying to say this or the white man education, then use law and use wisdoms that we put in a category as education, we can't diss that. And I think we have to come way past that because there's a plethora of Moors like myself and others. It's a plethora of sheiks like myself and others that's going to speak from an unbiased perspective because I know everyone have kids. I hope you want the best for your kids. And if you think your kids have any tittle of aptitude, I'm sure you want them to get some type of training, no matter what type of training it is, to work with their hands, mentally, physically, spiritually. That's a form of academia. That's a form of wisdom. I will hope that the parent understand that all that is wisdom and to make them better in what they choose to do in their life work. So, you know, that's what I tell Moors that meet me. You know, I come from a different background of life. I've been through a lot of religious houses. I have a great background, even though I'm from the city of Flint. I grew with my mom and my dad. You know, I had the pleasure to be around things and do things and see things. I've made mistakes at a young age. Had to pay for some of those mistakes, and that's why I'm able to operate how I operate. I don't care about being famous on the internet. If fame and fortune came with that, all that will allow us to do at the Burning Bush Tabernacle Science Temple of School is do things in a bigger manifestation to where we can have those brick and mortars like any other organization that have brick and mortars. We able to do things. Why? Because I know how to get things done. Because I do it on a low budget. So it's just having a heart, and it's just knowing the connections. Because the thing about what I understand is things can be done. That's what I know. But the specific topic that I wanted to talk about is, like I said, I had a beautiful conversation with some young men today, some young women that I had the pleasure to help, get their college degree, and I encouraged them to go further to get their bachelor's degree, and they want to get it in business. And I say, encouragement is always great when you have someone that look like you, that's done it, and can speak up for you, and can always be there as an ally. But the most important part is knowing who you are. I tell every young man when I said the most important thing is knowing who you are, because us as a people, when I say this, no disrespect to no one else, it has to be a common denominator. Because misnomer black people can out Muhammad, they can out Jesus. They argue over all these religious things, but no matter none of that stuff, the degree of understanding has to reach a level. We have to agree to who we are. We have to agree on those principles. And once we agree on those solid principles, I think we can move further. And those things need to be spoke on a global stage. You know, I understand Jesus, Muhammad, all that stuff, Yahweh, whatever name you want to say, Buddha, Confucius, whatever you want to say. But at the end of the day, as a people, once you get to that level, it has to be some things pertaining to these laws that operate in this world. When it comes down to who you are as a people, we have to walk out the house in synchronicity on some level of understanding. We cannot continue to play this game and play this religious game, or play this personal game with this civil rights with lawyers and attorneys, and they know for a fact that Negro, Black, and Color or African American will never get any civil rights, and knowing that it's civil mortis. So all these things need to be spoke on from a global and from a how can I say, a big stage, just like any other thing, especially more like I say, what's the ego? What's the problem? If I can speak freely like this in different walks of life, you telling me us as Moors and as people going to school, our kids taking African American history courses, and some of these black misnomer black professors is having these kids reprogramming not Willie Lynch, but yeah, Willie Lynch is program learning, and that's fake. I heard professors say that some roots is real, and got kids reading that. That's not real. And I said we need to be telling our kids that was plagiarized. Alex Haley, Alex Haley plagiarized. Alex Haley plagiarized roots from a European writer named Harold Colander in his book called The African. That's why I tell people I jump on here just to talk to the people freely. I'm able to talk like this in academia. You can reach that up. Just like the Willie Lynch letter, when rappers like Talib Kweli, when they rap about the Willie Lynch and the Willie Lynch letter, and I say, if it's a real Willie Lynch letter, it would be in the Library of Congress. What you mean, Sheik? I'm telling you, as an academia, like an elementary student will tell you, it ain't no such thing as no Willie Lynch. Black was never used to describe ethnicity in the first century. So what is the argument? It's no Willie Lynch letter. And I already did it in academia at GCU. Show where the Willie Lynch whole theory came from. Show who made it. Said, well, we'll let a certain group of people keep this. It's no factual to no Willie Lynch letter. But then you have rappers talk about some Willie Lynch. No slave owner or no so-called slave in first century never wrote about no slave owner named no Willie Lynch. Think about it. Think about it. And why would you lynch something that made you something? I mean, just think about these things that's given to us by people that look like us. Because when I say I deal with history, and when people say, "Well, why do you say that, Sheik brother?" Because I know in certain houses, especially in the royal archives, this is talked about. This is what I'm saying. This this, this is no secret, and we can start dealing with Russian dictionaries and all over showing you history to show you what it's about. So when we speak about these things, and I say that's my mission as an academia when it's dealing with human rights as a people, because the Declaration of Human Rights, Article 15, clearly says you have a right of a nationality and a right to change it. No one will be arbitrarily denied of a nationality and a right to change it. And to claim a child replaces the birth certificate. The House Joint Resolution 75, the religious rights of the indigenous people. It's a lot of things that we should know as a people. Even the Constitution with the 20 sections, things were never abolished. The Dred Scott Law was never overturned. It was illegal to be Negro, Black, and colored African American since the 1800s. Research the Spencer and Dungy case when Abraham Lincoln defended the Moore in court because it was legal to be black. Research the Wilmington's white man's constitution. No disrespect to any of my European brothers, whatever you want to connotate yourself, no disrespect. And see what they did in Wilmington, in the Carolinas. When I tell people about coming together as a fraternal order, doing things the right way. When I tell you most of these people are under your tenets, no disrespect. Even the Ku Klux Klan, they're under the Quran. There's no disrespect. I'm just telling you what I know for a fact. It's no disrespect to no one. And when we talk about the ancient rite of the mystic shrine, I can show you how deep it goes. But understanding who you are, once again, from that aspect, we cannot have this religious argument, my brothers and sisters. No matter what you identify, you should have a clear understanding. And myself, under the acronym of Moorish science, understanding the triple roles, which is the Paraclete, the Fatimid, the Jerusalem, the Christian, I have a clear understanding of those, so I can operate with people if they just on the, how can I say it, the exoteric side. Because I'm on an exo and an eso. As a tasawwuf, I should be, but I have a clear understanding. I can reason with people. I can even reason with a person that say they're atheist when I break down sustainability, when I break down water. So when you have a clear understanding of things, words have synonyms. And sometimes we let our lower understanding say that's something contradiction. And it be our lack of understanding that's contradiction, our understanding or our misunderstanding. And a lot of times we don't realize that. So when it gets back into the subject matter, I'm getting back in context of who we are as a people. That's very important. When it comes down to liberation, when it comes down to a person saying reparations, and I said no slave is going to get reparations. No one that identified as something that's silver mortars in the eyes of the law when it's pertaining to who you are, you're going to get nothing. When I ask people, research the SF 181 form, because I've heard a lot of Moors. I heard a lot of Moors say this. You don't fill out this census and all this. I say, listen, I don't tell nobody what to do. In academia, we have discussions. I'm not here to tell nobody what to do. I say I'm here to challenge you to research some of the things that I'm saying for you can look things up further. And as our understanding begins to synchronize from an unbiased perspective, we can say, wow, wow, wow. So when I go back to the SF 181 form pertaining to ethnicity, on that form, it tells you circle all pertaining to yourself. So when you read things from the right perspective, then things will start opening up because you have the right. State yourself for the record. And so when I ask people, do they understand clearly what the SF 181 form pertains to ethnicity? I hope everyone understands, because the way you sign can hangman you. The way you don't sign can hangman you. These are the things when someone asking yourself or you asking someone who they are on paper and things is put in front of you and we don't know how to answer. And then we put our feeling in things. We don't operate like that. We shouldn't operate like that on feeling, especially when we trying to get somewhere. And even if we're not with it, what's right is right and what's wrong is wrong. That's it. We're not here to overthrow nothing. We're not here to come up with nothing new. That's not my mission. I ask people to read these things and see what you're coming up with. See what the SF 181 form is. See if there a real black land. Ask questions. Ask a European Freemason professor. I'll turn you on to a lot of them. I graduated from academia with a lot of them. A lot of our people that's Mason's not going to say it. This is what I know. No disrespect. No disrespect. So when we look at these things and when we talk about what should we call ourselves, listen, man, it's some things that we have to agree on when we walking out the door. So when we signing things, when we operate, we have to remove our feelings no matter what religion you are. Because if you are down for so-called reparations, which people say, yep, then it has to be some things that we agree on. And if law governs all event, we can't arbitrarily explain the law based on our religious perspective. It can't rock like that. It can't rock like that. We have to understand that we're not no 14th Amendment Negroes. That I can show you ancient laws that brothers already proved that. If the 13th Amendment freed Negroes, what's the use of the 14th, the 15th, the manumissions, all these things? We are the only group of people that was called something every different month. So if that's the case, we have to have some clear understanding based on the law, based on freedom. If it was 5 civilized tribes, if you was written in chattel as 3/5 of a human being in a chattel as ownership, then your nationality and your spirituality it has to be those two that make you a complete human with life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. These is facts. I'm not saying people wasn't from the continent of Africa that was slaves, but even the one world Tartarians, the Europeans, they scholars, they agree with what I'm saying. And we shouldn't be having a disagreement because of a lack of understanding of some of our people, because they want to say all people is this. I never say all people is this. You are this, that. You are all that. And we get into the whole world was dark. I'm not going to put a title on a person if I might not have been in that area and they say the name that they given themselves was Amazigians, not Moors, because Amazigians is ancient and we can get to things. But this is what I tell people, say, we can't be that little in our brain. We can't let people draw a line down our back, because then we'll be coming of that minority aspect in the mainframe of what someone stepped on your neck identified you as. See, this is no biasness or no one else. You have the right of a nationality and the right to change it. And the claim a child replaces the birth certificate. And no one will be arbitrarily denied of a nationality and a right to change it. Like, we didn't know this? You didn't know your religious right? Well, you have the right not to assimilate. You have the right to have your teachers. You have the right to wear your religious regalia. You have the right to write your own books. You have the right. That's the religious rights of indigenous people. You have the right. Negroes have no rights in law. Research the Spencer and Dungy case. Before Abraham Lincoln was the president, he was a lawyer. You know? And that's what I tell people. I say a lot of we can talk about a lot of old things, and we can talk about a lot of the secret, some Jekyll Island when people get pulled over, and that ain't gonna help nobody do nothing. That ain't gonna liberate no people. That ain't gonna bring. We ain't gonna have no next generation of scholars, no next wealth owning nothing. A lot of things I don't deal with. I deal with what's popping today. I deal with if we're gonna talk about things, if we're gonna have books, we need to write our own books. If we're gonna buy things, we need to have our own websites, like we have. So a lot of things that some people talk about is just not my mission. I don't like to have barbershop talk. I don't like to play semantics with people. And I don't tell people to give up your license and squat in houses and go buy some stupid badge off the internet with some AA22 number and think you're going to get some discount at Burger King. And then when the stuff get took out the Library of Congress, people look stupid. I don't tell people to out here to operate as some Moroccan president and get all people in trouble. That ain't my mission as a true mapping guide. Because the divine comes first. The divine comes first. Everything else is law and civics. And if you're not an expertise in that, you will get people locked up. That's just a fact. That's how a lot of these people know how to play word salad with people. You know, a lot of it is jailhouse talk. A lot of them have different names. My name is Kareem Hakeem Goodman Bey. I don't have a fictitious name. Not to say nobody else do, but I'm who I am in real life. I have expertise in ADHD. I mentored so many people. I'm alumni for 3 universities. I'm from Flint, Michigan. I'm in Flint, Michigan now. I get to lecture at colleges. I'm part of the Philosophical Research Society. I travel on my own dime. I have my own web pages where I sell all my own books and things, you know, on my own websites. So when I'm home, I'm able to go to a lot of the colleges and places and just speak on my own dime. I got my own web pages, my own book companies, you know, where I sell literature. I have my own regalia on morrishaberdasher.com. You can go on there right now and pull up morrishaberdasher.com and see all our regalia that we make. I have a whole team of brothers that this ain't just me, that I love taking care of. And that's what we do. I have brothers that print and bind all my books at binditbooks.com. We print them ourselves until we raising up money to reprint them, you know? And then we also have, we sell ebooks. But I've written a lot of manuals. I got a plethora of them. I even have a library full of books that cost thousands of dollars on Amazon. You know, that cost thousands of dollars on Amazon. And I help a lot of people, you know, graduate from college. But what I'm saying, the stuff that I'm talking about, no disrespect, professors, Europeans spoke about this. Peter Moon used to come to Grand Canyon University and speak on Noble Drew Ali. He got a book called Spondu Mystery. Tavistock, he got another book called Transylvania Sunrise. He got a plethora of books, but he got one book called Spondu Mysteries. Look it up and see Prophet Noble Drew Ali with all those U.S. presidents and those war generals. And you got to wonder why the Prophet Noble Drew Ali is on there. You know, Peter Lambert Wilson, Peter Moon. Peter Lambert Wilson, in one of my books, I quote Peter Lambert Wilson, giving credit to Noble Drew Ali. Not the first person that bring this, but one of the best, you know, one of the best, saying that he's like Napoleon, like he's an American prophet, right out the halls of Melville. Let me see. Because I quote that in one of my books. Let me see. This is one of my 14 famous Asiatics. Let me see. I quote Peter Moon in one of my books. I think, okay, here you go, right here. I'll quote Peter Moon in my introduction of the Divine Creed of Moorish Islam. So in this one right here, the interpretation of the Divine Creed of Moorish Islam, I quote Peter Moon and listen to his introduction. And I quote, watch this. Here go the picture of the prophet that he have right in his book, Peter Lambert Wilson's Sacred Drift of Islam. Go on Amazon and see how much that book costs. I print and buy them. I have so many books that cost thousands of dollars that'll blow your mind. It's a European named Hakeem Bey. No disrespect, and I'm not going to embarrass you more if you're on here, that he was trying to lecture and say, yeah, I know Hakeem Bey. And everybody was like, dude, please stop. And it was like, Sheikh Goodman Bey already showed us who this Hakeem Bey is. It's a European Jew that wrote all the Moorish paradigms. And it's no disrespect. I can show y'all how this wisdom was spread to so many people. I can show you how that a lot of the Scottish Rite Masons know who our prophet Noble Drew Ali is. That's why I laugh at black Masons, because they act like they don't know who the prophet is. Because every European will tell you that they are son of a Muslim. I hope you heard me. But look. So that's in Peter Lambert Wilson's book, Sacred Drift. Noble Drew Ali, founder of the Moorish Science Temple of America, 1925. 4 years before his death, posing formally as prophet, Sharif, and Mason. From whom was Noble Drew Ali? Question. By Isa al-Mahdi. The image crumbling 1920s photograph of an American black man dressed in robe, sash, and fez, posing formally hand on breast like Napoleon, labeled Prophet Noble Drew Ali, 1886 to 1929. 1886 to 1929. To recover the meaning of this obscure and enigmatic portrait, we must rediscover a lost or secret portrait of our own history. This is what Peter Lambert Wilson saying, and that's his pen name as well. When I say pen name, I mean pseudonym, because a lot of these European Albion Trilodite, no disrespect, they wrote under their pseudonym. Just like when you talk about Flavius Josephus. That's a pen name. That's a pseudonym. I'll educate you on that deeper. But for American history is defined for us as much by its absences and disappearances as by its official presence. Indeed, perhaps even more so. Listen to this. The official sources describe Noble Drew Ali as founder of the first black Islamic sect in America. In truth, he was less than this, for there were black Muslims here before him. Of course, you have Abdul Hamid Solomon. You had Deuce Muhammad. You know who Deuce Muhammad was. Look these great Moors up. But he was also more than this. He was an American prophet. He was an American prophet. He was an American prophet. He could have stepped from the pages of Melville or Ishmael Reed, a thought of Allah clothed in the flesh, a fact, a poetic fact. Peter Lambert Wilson, Sacred Drift, Essays on the Margin of Islam, page 15. Look it up for yourself. I don't want to stay too far in that context, but what I'm trying to tell my brothers and sisters is what I'm saying is spoke upon, especially in the Masonic houses. No disrespect again, any European that's a Scottish Rite Freemason, they know exactly what I'm saying. Why? Because I showed the book with that they carry with Islam with the scimitar on it, and I lectured it. And I lectured the European Mason giving credit to Noble Drew Ali on his 135th birthday. It's on my YouTube channel. It's no disrespect to no one. It's no disrespect to no one. We the only group of people that put our own people down. You don't see other people that they might have messed with this or did that. They don't put them down. Woody Harrelson. Ain't nobody saying nothing about Woody Harrelson, you know? And so what I'm saying is we are the only group of people that put our people down. Now, I ain't saying if people did some things, that's on them. They got to deal with it. But we're the only group of people that belittle the wisdom. And instead of uplifting the wisdom and taking the wisdom for what's good and from all those walks and all those sets and say, this is what we're going to deal with. We're not going to deal with the worst because the worst is polluted. You see what happens to the worst, you know? And so that's how I operate. That's how I operate. You know, even when I deal with a lot of my Islamic brothers, I say, man, you can't talk to white man stuff because a lot of stuff is under Dianetics. And you can't be mad at what I'm saying because even Malcolm started understanding words and understanding civics and understanding things pertaining to nationality. You have to rise above that stigma of being black. That stigma, because black has no standing in law. It's an adjective. You know, just like if I was in a 1599 Geneva Bible and I said, oh, this is a blackamoor, what would I be saying? I'd be saying black would be describing that type of Moor. It may be a certain region where that blackamoor is because you have Swarthy Moors, Tawny Moors, Egyptian Moors. So depending on that region, they might have gave you the vernacular as a blackamoor. And in the 1599 Geneva Bible, you were described as a Moor. It's no, just like even when I deal with my Hebrew Israelite brothers, I say Hebrew is an act. Now, Israelites, I understand Israelites, but before people became Israelites, what that mean? You know? So this is what I tell people. Somebody said, does black mean deaf in legalese? Now, as a teacher, I ask everybody, that's a simple question. The question is in the answer. The answer is in the question you just asked. That's how I teach, and I don't be a smart ass. If a person said, does black means deaf in legalese? Let's go and look up legalese and let's see. And let's see that's how you know for a fact, because I can say a whole bunch of stuff. And we can be saying yes, no, and there's no reason to do that. So here, if we doing that, a person can make the statement in this or in that, this means that. How? By the research as coming into the house with a level of understanding. You know? And so if a person have a smartphone, I would say, research it. The same way a person asks me, I would say, ask that. And then we can have dialogue on it. And then we can use it in a sentence, or we can use it in certain things, just like if we was in a spelling bee. And I say, spell niggas. And you'll be like, damn, how you spell niggas? And I'll be like, N-I-G-G-A. And then the person say, you ain't even asked him the origin of the word to use it in a sentence. And you will spell it wrong. You know? It's a certain way to spell niggas. To ask if you would say, well, can you give me the etymology of it? And I see a group of righteous people from a certain region, blah blah blah, and I'm just being in general. I'm not being specific from a certain group of area that were kings or blah blah blah. And then you know what I mean. it would push you. But if a person is not there, if a person don't ask those questions, then a lot of times I say we must have a little application as well, if I'm saying that. But that's a valid question. I challenge you to research it real fast, and then we can have great dialogue on that, and we can use it in the context of nationality. You know, black means white, pale, shiny. Okay. So now is it now is the time to make sense. So okay. So he said etymology. So you said etymology. If etymology legalese. So let's play these two things, not play it. Okay. So what's your nationality? What's your status? And when I say status, it's free white. When I say status, it's free white. When I start doing, and when people are like, what you mean? You're saying you white? I didn't say that. When I say I'm white by law, these are things I had the pleasure and the honor to study with on academia, with dignitaries, and prove what I'm saying, and panels and professors. I say now, I'm gonna show you that I'm white by law. That's why I say in context, because pertaining to science and law, what does black mean? Pertaining to science and law, if law governs all events, which I hope all true Moors and all true light seekers understand, because law governs all events. Pertaining to ethnicity, what is black pertaining to the eyes of the law when it's dealing with misnomer black people? Black is silver mortis. So what language is that? So what language is civilter mortis? It's a language. I guarantee it's a language. So if that's the language and people are talking a certain language, I hope you know the whole language and the craft that they're using. When I talk about the certain discipline of the language and the art that you in, and most people when you in that arena know most people are over their head when they just start quoting some black laws and some old stuff. And we deal with precedented law cases, doc number, Free Information Act. We might deal with a quid pro quo. We might deal with the Chicago Review. We might deal with a lot of things, precedented law cases, to see certain things. We might go with all that so you don't get judged in just any parameters. You get judged in the parameters of the law. Just like when these Moors, we talk about there's some special law. No, the Council of Court says lawfully. You can look in Cornell law that if a U.S. citizen kill a Moor, or vice versa, if a Moor kill a U.S. citizen, that Moor should be and want to be judged in the same parameters as that U.S. citizen. See, that's a fact. So when Moors be playing this game, that's that I don't play games. There's no game for me to play because most Moors not going to tell you research what I'm saying right now. Any Moor that's talking about they can do this, or they some Moroccan government, or they some this, or they got some law. They are sovereign citizens. Research Roger Elvick. Research Roger Elvick sovereign citizen package, and that's what these Negroes with fez, dirty fez on it. I don't care where they at, Canada, damn it, Minnesota, wherever they from. That's what they doing. They doing that to y'all, and you don't know. They selling y'all some stupid packages, and they got that. No disrespect again. No disrespect. From some European albeit trailer-like bull stuff, militia. I want to overthrow the government, and you can research the Paradigm Group. Research what happened to all those people. But research Roger Elvick. That's where these Negroes is getting this stuff from. Ain't no more science. Ain't no Noble Drawley taught none of this stupid stuff. Ain't no Noble Drawley somebody get pulled over for not having an operator's license and come talk about some secret treaty on some stupid-ass Jekyll Mountain. I ask a person, I don't even get into the dumb game. I say, okay, when you put your car in the mode to move, what do it do? Is it in drive or is it in traveling? Are you driving? Is it in the D drive or are you traveling? It's a lot that'll get you wrapped up. And if you do get away with it, now what? What's the next thing you're going to be on? But if you get hit by a big semi, you're going to try to use the laws that you say you don't have to go by to defend yourself. Now think about all this is what I'm saying. After I broke all this down, that simply. For an older man to be out promulgating a lot of that stuff because they have a fair zone is a tragedy. For women to be following that stuff is a tragedy. And that's like one of my muftis said, I feel for the kids. It's like, because it's a lot of these Moors that's taking this stuff and misconstruing it. What I'm talking about is in the constitutional law. You have the right of what? Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. This stuff need to be talked across the whole pulpit. We talk about some reparation. I say, well, you're not gonna get no reparations. Give me no attorney that done passed the bar in his right mind will sit up with a straight face around me and say misnomer black people to get reparations by identifying Negro, black, and color, and African American. He'll be lying through his teeth because he gonna get paid regardless, or she gonna get paid regardless. And they know that's a crock of you know what. They know it. They know it. So what should be the thing that we should be promulgating? When I tell people I'm down with reparations too, but what reparations you want? You want to be identified as a people. It ain't enough money to do. You want life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, like Charles A. Wiseman talked about. So felonies against a state agency equals civil death. Hey, all I say, you asking in your question is the answer. In your question is the answer. So felonies. So Mufti Maso, we on YouTube as well. You can jump on YouTube too, Mufti Maso, because Brother Nomad is asking some good questions, and I'm glad one of my Muftis jumped on here because they were like, "Well, that's just how she teach." He's like, I know the answer to a lot, but I'm not, a lot of times I challenge my brothers and sisters to show me that you will do a little bit to say, well, this is what I found. And if the answer is not right, then we can have dialogue and I can point a person in the right way because we're smarter than what we think. I challenge this is what group study about. Having your own notes so you can stand on your own feet. So felonies against he said, so felonies felonies against a state agent equals civil death. What do you mean? So felonies against a state, felonies against the state. What you mean by that? So felonies against the state. You mean what? And what you mean? Because I'm kind of lost on the question. I might be, or I might not just be comprehending what you're saying, brother or sister. I might be off, but apologies. So felonies against a state agent equals civil death. Think about it pertaining to ethnicity. Remember, in first century, black was never used to describe ethnicity. Black was used to describe only in the theatrics when the theater came down, when the black screen came down. It usually inflicted on persons convicted of crimes against the state or adults determined by a court to be legally incompetent. Boom! See, that's why I love people that think and that's be like, okay, this brother is not, he's challenging me. Yes. Now remember that incompetent oh boy, you just opened up a can of worms. I hope you know you just opened up a can of worms in a beautiful way. It usually inflicted on persons convicted of crimes, ding, 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 against the state or adults or adults determined by a court to be legally incompetent. Now, what's going to put you in the parameters of legally incompetent? What's going to put you in the parameters of legally incompetent? What? Black? Because according to science and law, what black means deaf, and you must state your name for the record. Because if you're competent, you can defend yourself. If you're competent, you don't need no one, because studying and passing the bar don't mean you what? Practicing law? Do you know law? If you know these things, you can defend yourself. Precedent law cases, doc number, Free Information Act. It's a whole bunch more. It's a whole bunch of other things that we have to talk about, precedent and law, doc numbers and Free Information Act, that we'll talk. You'd be like, okay, yep, boom, 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 boom. I just don't want to freestyle because I always want to have the proper information and I don't want to quote nothing. But in this context, you can see what I'm saying. So now with that word black or that statement black, you have to understand the context that you in. Now when that comes up and this what people do, like I said, it'd be so ironic when Moors be debating each other. And like I met one of the elder brothers in Chicago. He was like, brother, why don't you come to Chicago? I said, I do so much work in my city of Flint. When I pass, they're gonna be like, man, this man been everywhere on my own dime. But I stay in Arizona, I be in Vegas, and I have people that deal with me in real life. I ain't here to debate, brothers. I ain't here to argue over no magic trick. I don't have no lucky rabbit's foot. None of my muftis have no lucky rabbit's foot. You said, I believe this refers to something you mentioned many times, a beggar nation. Come on, nomad. I see. That's why I live. When I say I have better conversation with in academia, because this is what they go over. When people be like, "Oh, something hidden," I be say, "Ain't nothing hidden. How could something be hidden?" And the Freemasons use it as power. And I just told you, all Scottish Rite Masons tell you that they're a son of a Muslim. So the only people that'll tell you that they're a widow son is a black Mason. I keep telling people this. I like, come on. So when we talk about these things, yes, what people have to do is understand the context. So when you're looking at these words, what context is this word being used? What context is this word being used? Because I just told you, it was illegal to be Negro, Black, and colored African American since the 1800s. The Dred Scott Law was never abolished. If the Dred Scott Law was never abolished, then what? If Abraham Lincoln defended the Moore in court because it was illegal to be Black, Negro, African American, you couldn't have anything. So if that's the case, what do we think changed today? Please don't say no 14th Amendment, because if the 13th Amendment freed the so-called Negroes, what's the use of the 13th, the 14th, the 15th Amendment? What's the use of manumission? What's the use of any of that? None. And see, here go people. This will be asking me, what's the name of the first physical man? That ain't I understand that, man. Like, that ain't, like, I give honor. I'm not here to debate with nobody or do none of that with Moors or bring none of that energy. That's not my mission. When somebody say, what is the name of the first physical man? Man, that is not my mission. That just not whatever we feel it is. If whatever tenet a person operating on, whatever they feel, that's on them. But that's not the context what I'm talking about at this moment. I'm talking about what makes a person complete, which is their nationality and spirituality. And we're standing in the parameter of law. I get the religious aspect, brother Turner L. I get that religious aspect. I get that. That conversation can be had on other people's platforms. But I'm saying today, as a people, we have to get past all those things. Asking people, what's this? I'm saying for freedom, for misnomer Black people, no matter if you're a Moor, if you're a Muslim, if you're a Christian, if you're an atheist, if you believe in this, it should be some common denominators. Do you believe in a person reparations? If a person says, yes, I believe in reparations, because it's in the exhumed of the nation. So if a person believes in reparations, it have to be some things pertaining in law that we all have to agree with. And we have to say, okay, well, we understand these religious aspects, especially if we under a certain level of wisdom, especially if we under the triple rose. I know, I get it. And that's where we're not, but we're in this context. And I say we can have that conversation. I think that's very explained already. And I think a person should know that's explained. But that's why I'm saying in this specific context, I was having a certain conversation on these specific things, on a specific topic. And that's all I said. When I said, when I'm staying in context, and I was saying pertaining to law, pertaining to civics, no matter what religion we is, as a misnomer Black people, no matter what religion we believe in, it has to be some common denominator. And if law governs all events, which I'm sure all Moors understand, if not, they don't have a lot of adapt wisdom, then it's some things that we have to agree on, because law do govern all events. And we're not here to overthrow no government. We're not here to overdo that. We're not here to cause confusion. That is not our mission. Not a Moor that's from the temple, that's here to teach the divine creed and nationality. Anything else should be a specific craft, not from reading a Black Law's dictionary of things. It should be from an academic statement, so you can teach all people. No matter if they in the more science, you can liberate all people. I think that's the statement. But for me, I don't go around asking everybody what they or who is this or what name is this. It's so many beautiful names of this or God. There's so many beautiful names that I don't get into that. But I'm saying as a people, it have to be some things that we have to agree with, because we can deal with the semantics or the barbershop talk. or the things that's been taught already. That you can go on people's YouTube channels that's been talking about these same things forever, or been talking about the supreme grand this, or what is this, or this, or this person got some more wisdom with this person. I say everybody knows something. If if it's valid, if it's good for the uplifting of that person and the people that's around them, that's great. I don't belittle nothing, but once again, my mission is the liberation of my people, no matter what religion or what you may call a certain deity or a certain essence. That's not that's not my mission. I'm past that. I'm like, we got to get past something because we can't go into these parameters and say, okay, well, we this, we that, and we the other, and can't walk in synchronicity, which the laws say, which is right in our face. If we're going to talk about civics, that's what I'm about, because everything else is uncivilized to me. You know, that's right. That's right. That's right. That's like when I talk about resurrection or restore. Like I have a classic car. A lot of people know me. I deal with classic cars. I restore things back to this original state before it was tampered with. You know, you say it emphasizes personal responsibility in achieving inner peace and enlightenment, independent of external influences. And see, and that's what I tell people. I say it's so many things that'll give people this. It's like everybody have a peak of God, of Allah, that makes them righteous. Everybody level is on a level of understanding, you know. And that's what I tell people. Like I don't. I just got to the level of like if we're talking about monotheism, if we're talking about things that was written, we're talking about a lot of things that can we really be factual. But then if we're talking about what's above is below, if we're talking about the atmosphere, and if we're talking about everything that puts you on a level of peace, then I'm with that, because I operate on a level of peace. I operate with the seven comedic principles. I operate on those things. I operate on essence. So I have a clear understanding, but I don't put no faith in no deity or no man per se. You know, that's just not how I operate. But I definitely respect everyone, because I communicate with people. I graduated with people from GCU, which is a Christian community college that's atheist, you know, and we have beautiful conversations. And once you can talk from scholarship, where you can put things in sustainability and essence, we agree more than we disagree, you know. And that's what I tell my brothers and sisters that I deal with. I get a person religion. I like, because I know a lot of Hebrew Israelites, and them brothers be gun ho. But when you start reading things in etymology and you start saying what you be like, okay, well, if you were Hebrew, where were you before that? And who was these people that you went and took over? This was Canaanites. These were Chaldeans. So did your God or whoever went and slaughter a group of melanated people? That was the fathers of the biblical scripture. Like, it's so much things that we have to be specific on. We're saying, well, everybody is just this. You know, I'm saying, okay, today we have to be realistic on some things today. And so-called 2025, whatever map a person say it is, it has to be some things we agree on, because I'm down with liberation. I'm down with reparations. I'm down with all that. I'm down with all that. But all I'm saying is I know my whole statement was Negro, Black, and Color, and African American will never get any form of reparations identifying as something that's synonymous to slave. That was my whole thing. And that's when I say, when I have discussions on the college campus and lectures, we be in a certain, everybody stay in context. And I don't be meaning to be disrespectful or a smart mouth to any Moors. You know, I just know that happens a lot. You know, it happened with a lot of Hebrew Israelites. It happened with a lot of, no, and I'm not saying a person is combative, but it happened with a lot of people that's combative. You know, and I say, what like a lot of that stuff, it'd be meaningless to me, but I have a clear understanding of it. You know, I tell a lot of people that have children, I say, well, if this stuff means so much, are we teaching our children and in our wives, and are we trying to influence people in our communities? And are we volunteering at the schools? Are we starting our own young nobles? Like, a lot of stuff shouldn't be the energy that we have with each other. Just like if I'm studying martial arts and I deal with another more that's a little bit more gifted in some skills, I want to add value too. I want to try to destroy this person or fight or have a pissing contest. I want to ally with this person. Why? Because last time I thought if we understand what we're building, these are building blocks. And these are the tools in our Moore's Quran, chapter 5. These are the tools in the toolbox. Everybody, you're going to deal with people in life that's on different levels of wisdom. Just like if somebody in elementary school and you're dealing with somebody got a PhD and their heart is pure. You're not going to diss the person that's an elementary student, but you're going to use this PhD professor, teacher, she that's heart is pure and going to and pull his teeth out in analogy and get on the titty as an analogy and bring his brothers up together. And the workman is due his hire. That's all I talk about. But the combative energy and to try to say or how a lot of Moors be challenging like this some type of TV show that we may see in New York that used to be on the conscious community. That's not what I do. You know, like I don't sit up here and what's this name and this and it's like that that's not what I do. You know, we got other things that we should be doing. We should be writing. We should be writing the wisdom. We should be writing the wisdom for whoever wants it, no matter what a person is under. We should be writing our wisdom. Hold on. I could call my boy back. But we should be writing a history. We should be talking to young brothers and sisters, helping, volunteering, doing all those things to try to build up the community, not to jump on the internet and don't talk to people, because it's just like in basketball or in the music business when you see a lot of these kids contracts, they making way more money than a lot of people did back then, you know? And or in a record game, you be like, man, how these young dudes making the money? Because it's different things going on. I even heard more say they the originals of this. Or you ain't the original of no books. You ain't the original of this. And I tell people it's like wisdom should be shared. And if a person don't have that gift or have that likability or that aptitude to go in academia, to get the degrees, to build a full library and a database with over 1 million books and able to spread it with people, then we have to give credit to that thought process and that time period and that dispensation, because the Holy Spirit and all these good righteous things that we talk about, that we say we like, it works through man and woman. And we have to give honor to that. And when we see that God essence in man and woman that's doing with their God-given gift, we stay with that. And I tell every God, man or woman, do your gift for humankind, you know, regardless of what it is. But for us to say we Moors and have all these names and titles, I think it should be a bigger mission, you know, that we should agree with. Because if nationality is order of the day, then damn it, we should make it plain where all the Moors at. If Moors say nationality is the order of the day, okay, I know I have a lot of information that a lot of Moors don't have. I know I'm introduced to a lot of things that Moors not introduced. I know some Moors might have some things that I may need to have, or vice versa. But one thing I know, I never send nobody into no burning house. I know that. I know we can fact check everything before we even move, before we even step into any ramification of doing anything. I'm gonna tell you off top what's gonna happen. I'm gonna tell you that, and then you ain't got to sign nothing no more because it's already been done. I'm gonna tell you, Noble Dryly built a house and the furniture in it. All we have to do is live in it. That's what I'm telling you, and it need to be done the right way. That's what I'm telling you. I'm telling you, can no man, no woman, no sheik, I don't give a damn how old they are, can nationalize you and denationalize you. That'll change you from the descendant nature of your foremothers and forefathers. If them Negroes can nationalize somebody, telling them to nationalize the Chinese, the Sudanese, they can't. The 1099, it's not no trust fund at the end of the rainbow neither. Peace, Noble Dantes. Yeah, we on YouTube as well. The 1099 ain't no trust fund at the end of the rainbow as well. So those are the conversations I be trying to have Moors with Moors. I say, where all the Moors at? Because in my city of Flint, the Moor Science Temple of America is on ML King. It don't even be open, just like a lot of temples. If Moors say they from the temple, I have my paperwork from the temple. Moors that's nationalized through the temple should only be teaching one thing. Now, if you're an educator like myself and others, then you can do those things. You can educate people, and it can be for educational purposes only. But people can't show you how to commit fraud and defraud the government and use things and try to act like they didn't know and get you caught up in some stuff that they never done. That's not how this works. But once again, I tell all my brothers and sisters, my mission today It's understanding who we are. I've talked to a lot of Islamic brothers, Sunni Muslim, Nation of Islam brothers, even a lot of my brothers that went through the nation, and some brothers that was Hebrew Israelites, and they on the fence, and I deal with them and I lecture with them, and I had the pleasure to do it. They're like, brother, why don't the Moors, why everybody? I said, ego. I mean, it's simple what we just said. If you down with reparation, which most black people are, if anybody on here, I don't care if you Muslim, this and that and the other, then you got to know that no Negro, black and color, or African American will never get no reparations. So if that's the case, everything else, it really means nothing to me, because I'm down with my 5% brothers. I'm down with my. I'll pull it right now, the Zulu Nation paperwork, and it'll show you all more science stuff. The African Bambaataa, regardless of what he did, just like when people say Dr. York, I could pull out all African Bambaataa stuff, volume 4 and volume 5, all more science stuff, and everybody know what I'm talking about. We talk about going through different houses. I can show you a Yahweh ben Yahweh with a FOI. What I'm telling people is a lot of things that's been told to us from different people, but today, as a people, we should understand our nationality and our spirituality, and nationality is the order of the day. I don't care what nobody else say. I don't care if a person say, well, what was the first man? Just like I did with a lot of my Islam brothers, and they come with that red book, no disrespect, and I say a lot of that stuff in the red book is not even facts, no disrespect, because I deal with mathematics, and a person can be mad all they want to. I already had this discussion with my 5%ers and my Muslim brothers, and we dealt with the facts. Even we dealt with the language. I even dealt with the ancient language. So I'm not here to belittle or nobody. I'm just telling you, when you got to deal with the facts instead of tradition or someone telling you. You have to have it for yourself to look at it. You have to. You know? And so once again, for the discussion, I'm telling brothers, when brothers start understanding, they came out of that spell of black. That's what I'm telling you. James Baldwin told you, I'm not your Negro. You come out of that spell of identifying as black. You have to. And that's what I'll be telling Moors and all these other different brothers that look the same, that it was 2 Hebrew pharaohs in Egypt. When I be telling my brothers, I said, what did we set tripping on? We set tripping. At the Great Convention, the prophet had everybody together. All the different so-called Masons, all the different sets. You saw all the different headdresses under what? Knowing who we are. Now today, you telling us Moors, we steady acting a damn fool, and we can't get along with each other with somebody from this area or somebody this area, and somebody may have a little bit more wisdom or was able to have a little bit more than you faster, because maybe their parents, they was homeschooling it too, and in academia, and from the city of Flint, and have elders over him, and being a part of different sets, and have degrees, and being able to study in different sets, and bring something back to his own brothers and sisters. That's what we're supposed to do. And it's only one law. It's only one science. And that's the problem with people. I say, what? We are making things up and confusing people. If nationality is order of every day, well then how can we make it? What's the remedy? Because that's what I'm with. That's my thing. That's my thing. Everybody they got all the secret science, all the space saucers, all the Anunnaki, and I tell people the thing about people with a little tittle of light, when you research where the Anunnaki come from, and that's Zechariah Stitchin, and you hear a lot of Egyptologists quote that Zechariah Stitchin stuff, which is lower level science here, Freemason, then you'll be like, damn, I know it was all pseudo. You know? But if nationality is the order of the day, you know, who build a community, right? It ain't about no dollars. When you hear more talk about we got to have our own dollar, no, you don't. No, that's why I be laughing. I'll be like, no, you don't. Read what a nation is. Read it. And then they'll understand when I say community, principality, how the temple is set up, the prophet did a certain way. The way our school and temple is set up is done in a certain way. Unity, self-preservation. We can battle the grantors for a lifetime without moving forward at all. Thank you. And that's what I tell people. When I talk about a nation in a nation, when on paper we have a community. Our temple and school, we have ID. Just like our prophet says, your ID is for your salvation. Failure to obey these orders will be of severe consequences. We are for love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And when these orders are violated, justice must then take its course. Stop flashing your cards at Europeans. It causes confusion. We got an ID card, a travel card, and a tax exempt card. And it's only for the Moorish Science Temple of America. That's it. It don't replace nothing. It don't replace nothing. It don't replace nothing. A community, a principality, a church, a state, all those fall in the same parameters. I can go on and on, but I'm just paraphrasing off the dome. When people don't have a clue or a real idea, is because they be stuck in some internet stuff. They be stuck on some internet stuff. That's not gonna help people. It's like tic-tac-toe. It's like, dude, it's like in Living Color when they be trying to use the big words. It's like them brothers be in prison or they battling people with wisdom. It's like, no. Is there room for you to do that in your arena for those that's attracted to that? You know? So if nationality is the order of every day, then how can you do it? The first thing is self-identification. Self-identify. Everything is about self, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Remember a name I said, Charles A. Wiseman. A lot of stuff I tell y'all about be studied on Harvard and Cambridge and Oxford. Most of these universities in these European places have Gnostic libraries. I'm part of the Philosophical Research Society. I'm just giving y'all a little tittle of what I'm sharing with the world. Research what I'm telling you, you know? So, once again, reparations come to those who build a community. So, what community? Under your what? Your religious laws. Under the religious right of the indigenous people, what are your rights? Those are human rights. Those are religious rights. To get civil rights, they got to come from a place. And so everything is about community, building a community. That's what I be telling people. So when a lot of people just be on the internet talking reckless or feel they got to go somewhere else, I don't have to go nowhere else. I'm an American. I'm not saying there ain't nobody. Other people can do other things, you know. Historically, principalities emerged during the Middle Ages as part of the feudal system, where local princes gained significant power within a king's domain. Okay, now let's deal with this. When you talk about Angelo Solomon, the first Moorish Mason, when you talk about Dum Diversus, when you talk about the doctrine of discovery, a lot of those things was wrapped up in religion. So yes, it's always going to be a subjugation of a certain person or a certain people. You know, when we talk about a king's domain, just like when we talk about stolen legacy. You know, when all Greek history is nothing but stolen Egyptian history, it's all going to be told in a form of fallacy. It's all going to be told in a form of fallacy. Even I can show you a book called Russian Icons by Vladimir Ivanov and show you who all the ancient church fathers are. I could take you in Europe and show you all the things from St. Maurice, from the Tetrarchs, from all the biblical church fathers, melanated. I could take you in the Catholic churches. They know, you know, that's why they call them Russian Icons. It's an ancient book by Vladimir Ivanov called Russian Icons. You know? That's why when you look at what an American is, look at the 1828 Webster Dictionary and somebody tell me what an American is. And then we can start having a conversation. You can start having a conversation on what does the 1828 Webster Dictionary describe of American? The copper color races found here by Europeans. Now identified to what? So you can see at a certain point a change of history. When I can show you the Exxon to the Egon Sea, how a certain group of people came from this area to this continent. History don't lie. We just have to be correct on it. We don't have to change everything. I'm saying as a people, this is just world history. Even I can start dealing with Thomas Jefferson Quran and show people what was here. A lot of military songs, why do you think they called you a Corsican or a pirate and all those things? You know? So I don't be having no issue with no one. I'm able to do this, and like one of my allies is a European Jew, my professor. I told y'all, besides what most of these Moors be saying, the only Hakeem Bey I know is the one that wrote all the Moorish paradigms. That's the one that scholar, and I have them all. It's a whole journal of the Moorish paradigms. All scholars in first century that under the cloth, especially if they Masons, if they Scottish, right, regardless of most black Masons say they ain't gonna tell the truth, they know exactly what I'm talking about. And they, when I come around, they give respect because I tell y'all I'm 99 degrees of ancient rite of Memphis and Mizraim. I'm a spirit builder. We have to. Where do people think all this stuff come from? Where do people think the DAR come from? The Daughters of American Revolution. You know, the European women that wear the white fez that came with the marriage law. They know. I tell all my empresses, you a star in the east, but our misnumbered black people under a spell. Still, I confer degrees. I'm right here. I got the same fraternal order. All Moors should be dealing with their brother. Why not? Why not? It's no secret. We must operate the right way and let all those that's been in the way step aside. Those ones that's been talking about they some Moroccan general or some Moroccan president, or they finna have you all this fake stuff. Gonna have you go to jail. All that stuff that's meaningless to the liberation of a people in America, of North America per se. That's right here. That might live in Chicago, Detroit, everywhere. Driving out without no license ain't gonna do you no good. After you do that, what is it gonna do for you and your family? What good is that gonna do for you? See? These are the questions and dialogue we should be able to have from an open space. Peace, Noble Dantes. Yeah, we on YouTube. And my movies jump on here as well. Say peace, Muftis, if y'all can. But these are the conversation I wanted to have with brother Know Thyself. We not here to belittle people. Just like it was a TV show. What do you say? American, a native of America, originally applied to the Aboriginals or copper color races found here by the Europeans. But how you gonna find something that's already native to the land, but now applied to the descendants of Europeans born in America? Sound like South African, don't it? But that's a whole nother conversation. That's a whole, I can show you all over. That's like Arab. Arab ain't spelled A-R-A-B. It's A-R-A-P. Vladimir Dale got an ancient 1800 dictionary. He's a Russian scholar. You can blow dust off of it. He tell you who the ancient Arab is. Research it, and he's melanated. It's another ancient scholar named Bertram Thomas. He wrote a plethora of books, Atlantis, Arabia, and he wrote a book called The Arab. And they took page 90 out of it, but I got one of the originals, you know? Gratitude, self-righteous. No belittling, right? Just facts, liberating. That's it. That's all I'm doing. I lecture this on the college campus. Research Bertram Thomas and see what I'm talking about. Research all his books. If you want them all, I convert them all to PDF. You can get them for pennies, and we print and buy them at our company. I have a library with over 1 million books and documents. I have books of Mormons telling you who you are. I have the books by Adar quoting all that. It's there for you to see, for you to read, for you to have understanding. When I talk about Vladimir Dale's definition of the ancient Arab, you heard what I said, ancient, it's you and me, Arab, A-R-A-P. Vladimir Dale tell you. They know this, and it's no disrespect. We've been stripped of who we are. That's why when I be seeing Moors and they be, we teaching people our nationality, I say, what do you mean? Or you nationalizing people. What do you mean? You can't, how somebody on the internet can nationalize you or denationalize you? Any jackleg Negro, excuse my candor, and I'm saying it like that with a fez and call himself a sheik. How can these Negroes nationalize you or denationalize you on the internet? How? How can they change you from the descendant nature of your foremothers and your forefathers? How? How can they tell you who you are or you not? How? That's impossible. And that's what I be telling people. Only thing somebody can do is put you in a form of dogma or Masonic. But here, just like our prophet Noble Drawley did, the same thing I did. I'm here to remove all the veil. I'm here to remove it all. Why? Because you're dealing with the order of Melchizedek. Once again, I've been through the fire. And the reason why I've been through the fire, because I wanted to, and I wanted to come back and confer degrees to my brothers and sisters, the same way our teachers done before us, and some that was afraid to do it. I don't belittle the ones that's still alive that I know that's Masons, and they be on TV and they'll tell you a little bit, but they won't tell you no more. And if you listen closely, they'll tell you that they're a Freemason. That's why they ain't talking like me. They know I got their charter, and it's no disrespect. At one point, all our great men was Freemasons. I hope y'all know that. I hope brothers knew that. So we got a little bit more time to continue to build. But that's what I tell people. I have a mission. And when we filling out things, you have the right to self-identify. Kids should know this. Our babies don't even know what the SF-181 form is. Peace, Noble Malik. We on YouTube as well. Moors don't understand this. They still be arguing over YouTube videos and somebody getting pulled over without no license. You see this work. None of that stuff work. None of that stuff work. Everybody go to jail. Everybody lose their lives. All you got to do is ask real things. That's all you got to do is ask real things and then want the honest truth. It has to be some things that we agree with, and you can't arbitrarily explain law. Law governs all events. You cannot arbitrarily explain law. You are white by law. If you don't understand that, man, we'll never get nowhere as a people. And that has nothing to do with no religion. That's why I be telling these Moors, I said, I hope we have some common denominator with your neighbor, with your brother that might use a different vernacular. What? The liberation of who you are. Because I want reparations too. So if we want reparations, we cannot be identifying as Negro, Black, color, African American, something that's synonymous to slaves. We cannot operate like that. We can't. We just can't. There's no way. There's no way around that today. There's no way around it. If you think you some 14th Amendment Negro, I feel sorry for you. And then if you religious and all this, you say the first blend and the black man and all this, I feel sorry for you too, because a lot of those things are not, it's just not right when we start dealing with specifics. Men lie, women lie, nature don't lie. We have to be able to do these things. Now, when we talk about black, yes, I understand melanin, the chemical key to black greatness in that context, but not pertaining to nationality, not pertaining to self-identifying. We can't rock like that because we know black is an adjective. We know this. So if we all know this elementary wisdom, my brothers and sisters, that means we should be teaching this to our children. That means the only way things to be changed is what? The people that's feeling they abuse have to bring up charges. Nobody's going to fight for you. You think the misnomer black preacher is going to compromise dollars for the truth? The Bible in Jeremiah, chapter 3? I'm quoting 3 and chapter 24. It talks about woe to the lying pastors. Woe to the lying lawyer. When I say law governs all events, that's why I tell people, when you operate as a truth teller and a truth seeker, you have to put all your religious feelings down on the ground if you liberating a certain people, especially if you melanated. I'm not saying that's everybody's mission, but that's my mission. I done dealt with all that other stuff before. I done been in all religious houses, and I still see black people arguing, killing each other, and they can't agree on nothing. And one might have on a yarmulke, one might have on a kufi, one might have on a bonnet. They all the same. One might have on a turban, one might have on a shemag. In the Bible, the high priest wore a turban with a jewel on it. The follower of Yahshua wore a jewel with a turban on it. What are we talking about? The followers of Yahshua wore a tunic, cotton or silk, with the embroidery on it. What are we talking about? So when people be saying this and that, and then our fez is our national headdress. Our fez symbolizes freedom. The tarbouch, it symbolizes Leviticus 25 and 10. It represents the Liberty Bell, the soft fez turned inside out. And then I break down the esoteric and the esoteric understanding of your fez and why it's held in high degree. And why we don't let nobody belittle the fez? Because the fez don't make you wise. The wisdom make you wise. And when you put that fez on your head, I respect people that'll just go get the fez because they like the fez, or in the early 2000s, it became popular. But if you real and you understand, you should want to get your fez from a sheik. You should want it to be handmade and touched. And you should want to understand the wisdom. So when you operate, you know you're not operating in false pretense. And you know you're claimed how? By a body politic. Doing things the right way. And so we operate in a certain manifestation. And that's what I tell people, you know? Once again, Brother Nomad, you say divine law or moral principles underpin all human actions and events. Once again, I think we know that. Just like I talk about civil rights. In order to get civil rights, they got to come from somewhere. So if I gave that little nugget, then I think a person will get that, will understand it, you know, how a lot of things go together, how a lot of people try to break things off, but some things go together. So when these things are talked about, that I think that's simple because think about it. Somebody moral law might not be justified. But if everybody say, put your hand on the Bible, and most people do this and all this and base these understanding on things, I can pull everything out of certain things. So once again, it just depends on the person's level of understanding, which I never deal with that, or say what's better. But in a certain mind stand, in some that should be universal, we will hope it would be something divine that can be universal. Because the divine we should be able to get to before we get to anything first. Because the divine comes first. The divine should come first. The divine should come first, always. But everybody see those things different. But once again, when I talk about nationality and spirituality, what I'm talking about is resurrecting our brothers and sisters back to the original state that you were tampered before you were tampered with. Before you were tampered with, you had your nationality, you had your spirituality that was taken from you from slavery. You had those 2/5 that was taken from you and written in the chattel as 3/5 of a human. These are things that can be discussed, and we don't have to deal with a lot of things. We know it was always the subjugation of the Black Messiah. Even in religious history, when you have the Dum Diversus, when you have the doctrine of discovery, research these things. Even when you could talk about the Arab slave trade, it was still the same. I can get into Bukhari Hadith, and it's still going to talk about the enslavement of a group of people. Still, so when people say these things, it's like, no, we're not belittling no one. We're just telling you what it is and what's written and what can be researched. And once again, if law governs all events, it's a certain way that things need to be done from all Moors. Not one Moor don't have no special way. I don't care how old no person is. Sometimes we have to realize some people may be delirious or may be senile. We have to get to a point to say, well, okay, well, this stuff it's not what we're talking about. And people have to be okay with that, because a whole bunch of drive without license, a whole bunch of fake stuff, a whole bunch of filing this, that's not going to do nothing for people. So if we all Moors, we have to be able to come to some agreement. And if you say it's Moor science, well, we have a state booklet. It talks about everything. It talks about how we operate. It talks about everything. It talks about a state, a community, a school. What it talks about, we ain't here to, this not no Islamic sect. It's not no religious house. It's a school. It's a temple, So all these correct things, when other Moors be coming in, they be saying they Islamic this or al-Islam or this, not, and the other. I say, that's not it, That's what I say, synonymous. A lot of times vernacular, I say things are synonymous. They go hand in hand, But those are just some of the things that I was able to have conversation with at Grand Canyon University in different houses. You're doing amazing, nomad, brother or sister. What you're doing is exactly what I would ask any student to do, because that gives you a certain, how can I say it? It gives you a certain confidence. It gives you a certain peacock analogy. You can have your chest out a little bit. Why? Because you're sure. You're not unsure. You can base your, how can I say, educated understanding off something that you researched. So when a person say, where you get that from, you don't got to say, oh, I heard this brother, I heard Sheikh Kari Goodman Bell. Now you can say, well, no, I heard this brother conversate and I researched, and this, from my research, this what I came up with based off the feedback that he was given, so you can help someone else. So that's why I tell people, when a person can explain things, or if they can't explain things, they're not going to want nobody to research. I want you to research. That's my whole thing. Like, I want you to research. I want you to have it. I want you to understand context. I want people not to get caught up in linguistic apartheid. I want people to ask questions. Why? Because that's how you learn. All I'm doing is a schoolmaster. I'm not in high wisdom yet. It might be high to a lot of people because we're not used to this. In elementary schools, and our teachers, they don't teach us this. They teach us blah, blah, blah. But in elementary, I teach the elements. I teach microeconomics. I teach macroeconomics. I teach astrology, astronomy. I teach all that. I teach nature. I teach agriculture. I teach physical fitness. All the stuff that I'm educated in. I teach health and wellness. I have muftis that herbalists. All these things come with our culture. That's in our culture. That's the etymology. A culture is caught. Everything gets a certain court. Now, in a positive context, we got to stop letting people use negative context explaining us. That's what I say. You have to be well versed in linguistics so no one can get you caught up in linguistic apartheid when they're trying to come with the negative connotations of something that's very positive. Like when we say more-ish. The ish, when I say more-ish, is all the things that make us a more. You might not agree with it. You don't have to, because I have the right to self-identify. I done told you. I don't got to explain nothing to you. I'm telling you out of my mouth, and it's on paper. This is what I tell people. A lot of stuff is self-explanatory. Who told you that you can't do this? Who told you that if a mistake was making, you can't correct mistakes? You heard I said you don't got to change nothing. You can correct mistakes. I hope a person caught me. You can correct mistakes in spelling. You can correct mistakes in identifying. Hey, your parents may not know what you know. Now, man, bro, I'm live. And now you can self-identify. And so when I be telling my brothers and sisters about these things, I'm like, listen, you heard what I said. You're not changing nothing. You're correcting. Just like I give you an analogy, I'll make it real. I live in Arizona. I had said I lost a certain piece of paper. I went to the place to get it. I asked the clerk, "Hey, I'm filling out this form." I know. Check me out. Listen what I'm saying, brother. Know thyself. I hope people listen to the vernacular. I hope people. That's why I say I hope people ask questions, not to get caught up in using the wrong words, because the words will hang you. You can be caught in the, how can I say, the words that you use. You conveying a person that you're under this jurisdiction of criminal behavior. So when I say, hey, I went to a certain place, the person in the window is no one. So I just need the form because I'm correcting a mistake. Whatever the mistake is, you fill it out. So the mistake, I'm just giving you an analogy. The mistake that was mine was it had black on there. I put on there white. Send it in, boom, boom, get back. It comes out like that. I have the right. My parents might not have knew, but I'm correcting a mistake. I correct a mistake. Just like annexing my L or Bay. I just told you the house during Revolution 75, most people can't find it no more. Because you have the right to annex your L and Bay. That's your suffix. Noble Drew Ali, Timothy Drew. Drew Ali, he didn't change his name. You don't get rid of the name your mama gave you. You add your suffix that connects you to the nations. Empress Gostin L. Bay told us that. You see what I'm saying? It ain't nothing to change. Just like when people say, I need to get rid of my license. No, you don't. You're a truck driver. You need those operators' license. Now, you having your fez on is just your religious headdress. It's like I took my license with my kufi on. You're not no Moroccan because you wear a fez. You're an American. You understand the vernacular and how you operate. Why should Moors be mad at anybody? Yeah, Malik, legally. Well, I like to say lawfully, because a lot of stuff we thought was legal wasn't lawful. If that's your fight. Now, if that's your fight, when I tell people, a lot of people be just making stuff up, going to court for traffic tickets, trying not to pay tickets, or driving with suspended license, or having no insurance and all this. But I tell a person, if you don't have to have all this, why you register your car in the first damn place? I tell everybody all this. I like a lot of things. It's not my fight. That's why I do things the right way. You know. Hey, I'm gonna call you right back, bro. Okay. Okay. That's one of my homies. Hold on. Hold on, y'all. Cause we building. Yeah, my bad. You say license has feds as well. Great. You know, and I said all these things is, and I tell people, please don't get yourself in trouble. You know, and that's all I tell people. If people can ask anything. Why waste your time with somebody getting a whole bunch of documents? Why? And all you have to do is do things the right way. I ask everybody this before you done all the stuff that you've done. or have it helped you? Because it's a way to do things. The religious laws trump all things. I tell people what we have a right. We have a right. The Declaration of Human Rights, Article 15, clearly says you have a right of a nationality and a right to change it. And a claim a child replaces the birth certificate. No one will be arbitrarily denied of a nationality and a right to change it. So if you know that, we should not be talking about who someone else is or where some, no disrespect, misnomer white man or Trelodike or European, where they came from or where somebody not from. That ain't my mission. I'm talking about what I have the right to do. I'm talking about me. And I have the right to identify as a Moor. Khalid Muhammad said, I know I'm a Moor. Got sense enough to know I'm a Moor. Now, and we're going to sit and argue with that, okay, because a lot of people don't want to agree to certain things. Okay, well, the name that we call ourselves ancient, we're Amazigians. Research it. I ask everybody to research everything that I'm saying. I do hope people will go on our websites and get some of my books that I gathered and compiled and divinely prepared. I do hope more subscribe to our YouTube channel, our Temple in School, and come to class, and build. I travel all over. I'm getting ready to go to Vegas. Then I'll be in Sacramento. Then I'm going to St. Louis. I mean, we can do things the right way. Because a lot of these older Moors, these so-called, no disrespect again, I'm not saying names, sheiks, they know a lot of brothers don't know. And they try to hide things over them, but they know a lot of that stuff, it's not going to work. And it's not real, and nobody has no special power. And everything about the Moorish Science Temple of America can be researched. And if you don't have access to anything about the temple, I'll give it to you. Everything, the CCRD, the County Clerk Recorder of Deeds, you can get the 1099 paper to tell you that it ain't nothing but a religious affidavit. We have the state booklet. So no one can sit up here and tell you some made up stuff about the temple or try to say all the temples are infiltrated. Most Negroes on the internet never been through the temple. Now, is it some Moors that was how can I say, that's not here no more, that got in trouble and try to have people file fake taxes? Yes. And he's not here no more. He was from Chicago. If he was alive, I'll tell him, I say, brother, you had all those people try to fill some fake taxes, then tell people Moors don't pay taxes, and then try to run that game on a lot of elders and a lot of people that don't know and went to prison and got a lot of people caught up. See, people know I do things the right way, and it's a way that we can do things. If the Prophet them had grocery stores and owned all them buildings and had their schools, we can model the same thing. How? Didn't the Prophet say he's going to leave the European here long enough to show you how to build your own nation? So you don't understand how to use our dollars in a form of tax exempt status like I do, set up as a religious and charitable organization that's tax exempt from the federal government. Moors be talking about all this tax exempt. Well, the Moorish Science Temple of America has a tax exempt status. And if you don't like that, I can care less. That people don't understand how the Prophet set the temple up and how he operated and how people can help, donate and get it and get a religious exempt. Just like if you working, that's how you're able to file exempt. If you were supporting your religious and charitable contribution of your choice, that's how you build your infrastructure. That's how you own your own temples and school in your community, because they under your religious organization. And the people use their tax dollars that you'll give to Uncle Sam freely and decipher them to your religious and charitable contribution of your choice and got a tax exempt receipt, which is legal, and built your infrastructure. But most Negroes think they're getting a tax exempt return, Yeah. I love you, Nomad. And that's why I tell people I done dealt with my Orisha, my Santerias. I done dealt with Credo Matua, with the Zulu. I done dealt with the Mordines. I've been able to study for different places. If I was dealing with my Zulu people, I'd be a medicine man, a shaman, able to teach mathematics, education, gardening, and be able to do something. That's what I said. And the people in villages, they use their funds to build up their God, man. We can do it. But we let Uncle Sam take it, not realizing, and most Black people think they're getting a tax return, but you're only getting a small tittle of what was took from you for a whole year. That's why Jews, they support their organization, and a lot of stuff go through the church because they're tax exempt. That's why most Black preachers, they don't have lawyer and client confidentiality, because Negroes have no rights in law. You will get a subpoena, most Black preachers. But I'm not Black on the record. So that's all I'll be telling people. I say it don't take a lot of research. The research I'm giving people or showing people is elementary research, just not extensive research. Brother Nomad doing the research as we speak it. And I've been lecturing for so long. I do it in academia. When I quote books, all the college kids be like, "Man, this book costs $1,000." And they were like, he offering this book, he done converted it to a PDF for $20, and all of them will put their money together and email me like, "We want the book." And that's what they do. They walk out that mug with about like thousands of books for $5 and $10 that they be looking on Amazon cost thousands, and then they just print them and bind them because I show a lot of students how to print and bind books. You know, and that's a lot of my profession. You know, so this is what I be telling more. I said, no, we have to have a think tank of education. You know, to teach, to bring the next scholars up. You said, and all of this is a learning process. That's right, Malik. That's one of my muftis. And that's what I tell people when I say resurrect. We resurrecting because still today, uh, 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 it's still a conspiracy to destroy black boys and girls. It's still a conspiracy to destroy black boys and girls. Still, and even in using that word black, we have to get out of that. We must, if we're dealing with things that's pertaining to law, that's pertaining to freedom. We must, if we're going to be current in today's language. We must. And that's all I tell any religious person that look like me. When they try to use religion to overtalk someone, and when they try to say, "Well, Jesus is this," I said, I ain't argue with you about that. I understand what they try to say. Well, what is this? I say, "Okay, but that ain't that." I hear you. I have a clear understanding. Whatever level that you on or may think you on, I have a clear understanding of that. You know, you know. But what I tell people is, we must have the same fight going forward to have anything as a people. We must come together. We must share our scholars and elders. Everyone is not more martyrs. It's a group of more. When people be all having all these Black Lives Matter, like my professor said, he a European. He says, "Sheik, if people would love to talk to me about it, which they not because they not misnomer black, they're like, have you on the panel. They're like, you're gonna destroy a lot of their professions. A lot of them are gonna have to put their tail in because you're gonna expose a lot." Was Al and Duvas conquer or was an all man agreement between parties to consolidate power? I know Moors were fundamental in the creation of America. You said, okay, I have a random thought. Was Al and Dalis. Now, what's the Batuta? Ibn Batuta. Research the stories of Ibn Batuta if you can find them. But uh, uh, a lot of that stuff is in Atlantis of a Latter Days. It's a Masonic book of Atlantis of a Latter Days, and the European Mason call itself El Elyon, and something that you just asked in there is right in the introduction, and you ask, and it'll answer a lot of your questions because a lot of stuff is wrapped up in Freemasonry. That's why they have all those things on their fez. That's why I say a lot of stuff that I talk about is wrapped up in Freemasonry, and most people know it, and most people be talking to me, they know that. That's why I said the European is not the joke of masonry. It's the misnomer black man that'll tell you that he or she is a son, or that say that he a widow son. And all my European colleagues that snowman masons 32 and 33 degrees would tell you clearly out their mouth that they a son of a Muslim. So if that's the case, uh, yeah. Remember, in certain here they called you Moradines or Moriscos. A lot of people did things by force or willingly. It's just like when you look at when you see certain people that don't like Moorish history, see how quickly like when people don't like Moorish history and they try to say, well, the Moors killed the Africans. Okay, well, watch this. King Leopold did. Leopold used the fez as part of a army suit, just like Hitler regime was under Islam. Just like Africa was not named after a European, you know, Africana. So all that stuff, it ties in to historical history. Once you open one door, it's going to open another door. When you're historically correct, doors are going to start opening. Doors are going to start opening. You know. So Al and Danis, you said I have a random thought, which is not random. Was Al and Danis conquered, or was there an agreement between parties to consolidate power? Now think about that in history. Okay, it has to be some agreements Just like when we talk about treaties was signed and broken. So when you look at things in that context, yes, yes. What are things under? I just talked about in American history or world history, the Dum Diversus or the Papal Bull or the Doctrine of Discovery. A lot of things people were what subjugated or murdered. Why? Under religious dogma. So when we look at these things, especially continents of where melanated people live, because if the Moors ruled Spain for 700, 800 years, who was those Moors? So then we start saying the Jews ruled Spain. Okay, who was those Jews? Was those Jews Moors? Because even with my European professors, they'll tell you Revelations 2 and 9, 3 and 9, they'll say that they're not the real Jews. They'll tell you exactly who they are. And I've lectured that a plethora of times, and it's no disrespect. We can even go so far with this history where it's always subjugating over a certain people. Godfrey Higgins, when I talk about the first church fathers, they spoke what I'm saying, you know, so I think a lot of these conversations have to be brought back to us in our so-called religious and spiritual houses, and even in our academic houses. And then a lot of stuff has to be retaught because a lot of our scholars and educators have took an oath to confuse, and a lot of those people are educators and lawyers and teachers and preachers, that confuse people with the false teachings. Yeah, for the century, Magritte traveler, explorer, and scholar from. Yep, yep. There you go. And I have all the books. I lectured before. Yep. And I like a lot of stuff be in my head. Like I've lectured so much in academia that when a lot of people don't know, they be like, "Y'all don't know this man lecture used to lecture every day on campus. I used to lecture at work, you know." So it's a lot that comes with. Like I said, I have a full library. A lot of other people have done the work, but I have it to give, and I lectured it, and I was actually in academia. Why don't this academia and say, "Well, I dropped out of school in the 12th grade"? That ain't dope to me. That ain't nothing I would tell no kid. Or I dropped out of school at the 12th grade, but I think I'm so smart. That ain't dope, you know. You know. Africa, yeah, including parts of Europe and China. Yeah, it's even more that I had the pleasure to study. Like when I talk about a lot of current stuff, like the Black Hitler of Harlem. You know, no, they don't mention they can't. But like a lot of stuff was here. I got other books by European scholars when you see the Americans. When I show you stuff in black and white, I mean in color. Like when I talk about cardiographers, you know, well, a lot of like I'll tell you like this, like a cardiographer would like when you pinpoint they hold it. Like Jerusalem had a plethora of names: a beer, Cor, Cor, Cordigina, uh, it's some other names. Just like Africa, depending on your tribal language, it was a Kibalan, a maximum, depending on the name, depending on your vernacular, you know. So it's a lot of stuff where people agree. I don't want to misquote maps, but I have a lot of different maps that say different things on it before you got America. It's just now is it Tamari, is it Tamaria, whether this and that and the other. It's a lot of different things on the map, you know. You know, it's a lot of different things that's on the map that describe the so-called Americas before certain maps was put in the books by MacArthur. A lot of in school, just like what's her name? I forget the lady name. Her name will come up. Her name will come to me. Carol Barnes? No, no, no. Anyway, she was on Oprah. She was talking about how the map is not the real map and how you can put Africa in America a plethora of times. A lot of ancient maps. Before you have to look at a lot of ancient maps. Just like it's just so much that I love to have these conversations on academia and spirituality where you could talk to people that might not be so-called Moors. And I say, well, we can deal with history and then start connecting things. And it's gonna connect it because all through history, people identified as Moors. When you deal with the Moordines, they were Moors in a certain area of Africa. You know, you went with Credo Matua, the Zulu. They understood that they were Moors. You know, that David Icke got rich off of Credo Matua. You know, so even Empress Gaston El Bey of the Washita Dahundii Moors. When we talk about how the Louisiana Purchase from history, it wasn't a purchase, it's stolen land. And people don't understand. They would talk about those with maps from the fairs. Well, if you knew something, if you had any tittle of your sense, most stuff was happening at those fairs. When I'm from Florida, my dad would tell you the lions and all that, the damn alligators eating the babies or throwing stuff, all that stuff was at county fairs. The county fairs told you some things. People were travelers. A lot of people don't understand history because they're not real historians. Just like I can take you to the Jim Crow Museum, and I can take you to the Jim Crow Museum and show you what they called the Negro and all the monuments, and why would you want to be identified as these things? So it's just a history. I said you were here. People traveled to Americas, and that's why a lot of stuff that I've written, I've gathered and compiled so many books and literature to show our children to be proud of. Like I said, I have a full library. I've authored a plethora of history books. I was able to lecture them in college and academia, and I'm just waiting for the time that a lot of my brothers that have their own religious houses or their own educational houses, or they connected to people or this, not, and the other, to have me come speak and teach. I had a brother one day. He was like, man, you remind me of Farrakhan, but not religious, like educational wise. It can speak to every house. I said, I've been doing it, you know. See, I love, hey, brother Nomad, boy, me and you would talk all day. Now watch this, brother Nomad. Now you build it. Now watch, listen to what brother Nomad said. Land bridges are a real thing. Okay, so land bridges. So when we dealing with architecture, land bridges, just like when I talk, it have to be things that they have to go together, right? Yeah, absolutely. But I'm agreeing with you too. But watch this. Land bridges are a real thing. We have a skewed view of these things like this. You said, I believe a principle of as above, so below relates to the interconnection between lands. It do. But your understanding is not off. That's why I love these conversations, because in wisdom you can be right and you can be wrong, but you're not wrong. It can be yes and no in wisdom. Just like when you're a real scientist, you always in the laboratory with your test tubes and your beakers, because what worked 20 years ago might not work today. Or you can say, hey, yeah, we did this 20 years ago, but today now we have good conventional pans, to cut the turkey. I mean, to put the turkey in, you don't got to cut it like Big Mama did back in the day. You see, tradition. So what you're saying, the principle of add above is below, of course, because in architecture, when you're building anything, think about it. This concept, as above is below. When just like if you wanted to measure the ceiling without getting on the ceiling with sticky notes, what would you do? You would measure the floor. So yes, what's above as below. Even in the constellations, in your brain, you have what? 12 reactors. You have 12 thought process, 12 constellations. Every constellation have 3 deacons. So when we dealing with this understanding, yes, just like when a religious person that say, well, we don't deal with astrology. Man, the creator named the heavens and the earth. What is you talking about? Everything in the Bible is, I can name the astrological signs. You just don't have the eye to see. It's right there. It's right there in the biblical scriptures. So I can stay in the biblical scriptures and explain everything I'm saying. A good teacher can do that. So in that concept, you're absolutely right. But marine time travel is older than we are taught. Absolutely. Absolutely. But when you understand both, that's the beauty of it. When I teach a person mathematics, and then once they learn 1 + 2 is 3, or I say in order to get to Friday, you got to go through Thursday. And then when I teach them multiplication, you want to diss mathematics. No, those are tools in your toolbox. That's in your chapter 5, Moore's Quran. These are the tools, what? That build up what? The perfected man. I'm dealing with the perfected man. I ain't tripping on the name of a person, calling somebody the first of that. I ain't dealing with that. That's not my mission. Whatever you want to call it. You see how simple these things is? Some things that we can agree in where semantics really means nothing. You know, when a person that's have a true understanding of these things, absolutely, it's gonna fit like a puzzle. Everything must fit. Everything must fit. Everything is under a pattern. No matter what you want to call it, everything has a creator. No matter if you believe in a big boom, well, that's a cosmic event. Just like what most people don't understand the 4th of July. They think it's some white man stuff, excuse my candor, but that's a cosmic event, the day of the Kiefer. I break that down when we're dealing with this alchemy. I be telling Moors we lost because a lot of us are, they pH balance is off because you got the wrong science. Others are using the right science in the house and throwing this spookism back at you and letting Negroes fight over it when they're using this science, what I'm saying, that's coming together and using this wisdom, what? To build infrastructure, to build community, to build fraternal order, which nobody can stop. Come on, nomad, yes. That's why the people talk about the mind. When I tell people, like, you have to have the right mind, you have to have the right science. So yes, everything starts with a thought. That's what I be telling my Morge brothers. We can't do nothing alone. Out of the sound of my voice, we can do something magnanimous. Why? Because everybody else done it. If everybody support the right way, it won't take one of it. Won't. It don't take a lot. It don't take a lot to have brick and mortars. It don't take a lot for people to come together and have teaching infrastructures. In a lot of urban neighborhoods, they don't have libraries. Man, I can rebuild libraries in every community. I can have one of the biggest libraries that the Moorish community or any community ever heard of. Why? Because I have it. And that's a fact because professors get them from us. You know, that's why I tell people law governs all events. And when you're doing business, you have to know, who you are. That's why when I tell people the only right you should be reserving is in business. When all other companies go in when they say they got the right to reserve. You know what? To say anything, I go in business as reserving my right. All rights reserved. That's what I care about when I'm doing business. I'm doing business, or DBA, doing business as. Everything I show my people, we set up as a different order. So when we do things, we operate under that cloth. People have to understand what we're doing. We're doing a powerful thing. We just need the people. And then people can hold me accountable like we do everybody else. The internet is a good thing when we can talk like this, brother Nomad. So I give you much honor, and I give you much love, and I give you much gratitude for even being on here, because I got a couple more minutes and I'm going to get off, for being on here today and sharing your wisdom and just asking right questions and keeping it, how can I say it, respectable. I love that. You know, you too, brother, know thyself. I give you honor as well, you know, but it's so much more that a lot of brothers may want to ask, that I said, I'm open to anything. I'm open to share my library. I'm open to come to your podcast and talk about some things, you know. But as I close, my brothers, it ain't no such thing as no sovereign citizen. That's an oxymoron. Can't be no sovereign and citizen at the same time. And that's some Roger Elvick want to overthrow the government militia stuff. No one should tell you if you want to do anything, form a militia. And I heard somebody, an influencer, say that. This older dude that be on the internet talking crazy. You don't want to be looked at as no stupid ass militia that want to overthrow the government. That ain't how you rock. These people be plants, even though they making money on the internet as influencers, doing all type of stuff. But that's their mission. When they say some little good outlandish stuff, but throw something in there to get you all caught up. All of it has to be right. And I never leave nobody in no burning house. And you don't want to operate as no militia, want to overthrow no government. Look at like that as a domestic terrorist, foreign and abroad. You don't want to be looked like at that. You don't want to be part of no brothers on the internet talk about they finna overthrow the government and all this stuff that's meaningless. And the Constitution has never been changed with the 20 sections. I challenge everybody to read them. What? The Constitution with all 20 sections. You know, and have these conversations. The Declaration of Human Rights, Article 15, have that clear conversation. Have that clear conversation with people that say, okay, do money mean things? Yes, you can do a lot with money. I tell people, if you have a job and you're giving your money to Uncle Sam willingly, that's your choice. But if you're part of a religious and charitable organization, the money that we give in Uncle Sam, we can support our infrastructure and get a tax receipt and give to our tax preparer. Now we just need to know the percentages, because each state, like I'll give an analogy. I have a donor in California, and I'm working on him and some of his pro players. And he was like, "Sheik, I just didn't know." He was like, "The average people after they go pro, they have nothing, and we can be supporting you while we playing and get a tax receipt from you and give it to the tax preparer instead of the tax preparer paying their taxes where they want to, you know." And that's what we can do. We can use our funds to decipher it, to decipher the funds. You know, we can use that to decipher the funds and build our infrastructure. But a lot of people don't understand it. It's like, no, the money that you giving Uncle Sam, if you know what you're doing, if you, all you're doing is deciphering it to your religious and charitable contribution of your choice, and you get a tax exempt receipt. Just like I'll give you an analogy. I was lecturing on campus, and before I started dealing with a lot of my family and friends, I give you this analogy: 300 people in one calendar year give $1,000. That's 300 grand. That's how you can have infrastructure in the city of Flint. Because in the city of Flint, there's so many old churches. The Moorish Science Temple of America is abandoned. Like, we have to show our people and the children in the world that we can create something and hold people accountable. A lot of people said they was going to do schools and doing all that, but those weren't people intentions. Those weren't people intentions, you know? And so now we have the opportunity to do these things today, especially for my brothers and sisters that's looking for something, that want to be a part of something. We should want to be a part of something. We should want to be a part of brothers that's already got something going on and can add value. Like, we have over 10 acres in the middle of Mojave, Arizona. Just imagine if we knew a whole bunch of brothers that know how to work with their hands and brick masons and all that. Be like, hey, brother, I know this brother that can build this. Hey, Sheik, I know we can do this. Hey, man, we can help. Man, this brother wrote all these books. Hey, we need to help. We need to support this brother, get these books, and help they temple and school become multi-million. And let's see what they're going to do. You know we're going to do the real thing because we've been doing it. All these things can happen with what we're doing, you know? So all I'm saying is, man, brothers and sisters, no matter who they are, we're not here to be arguing with each other, because Moors can jump on somebody's page when they see Bay or L, and they jump on my page and want to start asking me a whole bunch of questions that don't mean nothing. Well, the first man called. No disrespect. That'd be the first thing, a lot of Moors be doing with a lot of energy, the wrong energy. What was the first man calling? And what was this? And all these things that's meaningless. That ain't, none of that's my mission. So if anyone is here to learn and study, and if you're looking for Moorish American regalia, I have it all. I don't care if you're looking for tunics, cotton or silk, turbans, shemags, fez, tarbushes, whatever. We make Moorish American clothing, shirts, t-shirts, workout apparel in memory of my brother that passed, Akil Jelani Goodman Bey, all on MoorishHaberdasher.com. Please support. If you're looking for books, mypdfbooks.com, that's books with the Z. You can download all books as ebooks to your tablet, and you can go to Office Max or Staples and print them and bind them. But if you want them binded, we have our own company called bindedbooks.com, and we bind them and print them like this. Brothers and sisters, I've written the manuals and made it simple and plain, so you don't have to be arguing or be confused of nothing. It's written. How our temple and school believe. I talk about the Al Saladim here, and I don't do things outside of myself. The House of Ali, I've written, books that people that eat a certain way, if you eat vegan. I even wrote a Sufism and a triple rose of the Adapt Chamber, featuring our Comedian tools, not hermetic tools, our Comedic tools, Euro and Negro-centric propaganda, scholars who debunked them, scholars that look like us. One of my books, Healthy Eating and Living, show you different smoothies and things I make and different workouts in here. It's another cookbook. I got different good meals in here. You are what you eat. Interpretation of the Divine Creed of Moorish Islam, just my little small tittle of Islam, the divine aspect and some of the scientific aspect to align us in a specific way to get us ready to learn. And 14 famous Asiatic scientists in history, all can be in your library, And so any questions? Any questions? And like I said, family, I have a huge library. With a plethora of books. You don't have to go to Amazon. You can hit me up. I can get anything to you, especially if people come to class in Sunday school and adapt class on Saturday. Any donations, I give literature, I give wisdom, and I give gifts. Like, I think this year, we've put so far 200 and I think it was what 15 brothers in fences. I travel with backpack turbans and she mags, so I teach classes, but we have everything in house. And if Moors deal with me personally, like my Mufti Malik saying on YouTube, come to class, learn. You can deal with us personally. If you don't know how to tie your turban or your she mag, I'll show you how. If you don't have a fez, I we make them handcraft with all the proper perforations for symbology. You want your fez to be a certain height. You want your fez, the tassel to be a certain way. You know, you know, you want your tassel to be a certain way. You want the breathing hose to be a certain way. All those are the proper perforation for symbology. Aren't there two set of Moors? I don't, man. I ain't in, brother Sharon McRae, El Capitan. Aren't there two sets of Moors? Like I say, I don't know. Like I said, brother, I don't know. We done lecturing. I don't know if you're just asking me a specific question out of context, but I don't debate with all that. But I don't know what is two different. What you mean? Are there two different sets of Moors? You put it with a question mark. So do you know? Can you explain the two different sets of Moors, or the different sets of Moors that you may heard of, and maybe we can have dialogue and discussion on that since you asked that question, because I'm not really 100% sure on the question you asking me. Aren't there two set of Moors? Question mark. Okay, can you explain what two sets of Moors you're thinking about? You know, I have so much gratitude for the teachings. I am willing to donate to the temple and learn more. You say you asking the question because you don't know. Is that what you're saying, brother McRae? I'm not 100% sure if that's what you're saying. You say you're asking the question because you don't know, or am I asking the question back to you because I don't know? Like, I don't know really what you're saying. Huh? Clock Destiny and Noble Drew Ali. What you mean? Like, okay, okay. I'm sorry. Got you. Okay, okay. Sorry, no bad. Okay. You open a can of worms. Hey, Shannon McCree, you doing that? You don't open. See, I love people with their candor. I wasn't thinking. I had to read that a little bit slower because I don't know me. You said, okay, hold on. Once a gratitude nomad, I got so much respect for you too, as well. We would love for you to come to class. Any of my muftis put our information on there. We'd love for you to come to class, man. Anything I can do, any donations you give, I always give you books and literature. Anything you ask for, I'll make sure you get those things because I respect people that take time out their day. I don't care how much it is, $1, $5. A million people giving $1 make a million. So I give gratitude and I give gifts because people can do anything with their money. And if we understand, if we took a small tittle of our money like others do, we'd be all right if that individual is doing the right thing. Now back to Shannon McCree, El Captain or Capitan. He said, because I don't know me. Okay, so he said Clock of Destiny and Noble Drew Ali. He said, is there two different type of Moors? Okay, now I wish I had my Clock of Destiny Volume 1 and Volume 2 with me. I'm trying to say this the best way. I'm trying to say this the best way to, okay, well, okay. Clock of Destiny is supposed to be a level of understanding, like almost like when you get in the Red Book, when you get in the Silent Brotherhood of the East. So the Clock of Destiny, Volume 1 and Volume 2, number one, Noble Shannon, do you have access to Clock of Destiny Volume 1 and Volume 2? Let me ask you that question. Because I think that will answer the question a little bit more. So brother Nomad, do you have access of Clock of Destiny Volume 1 and Volume 2? Because all my muftis do, and I teach it the right way. So that's the question. Do you have access to Clock of Destiny Volume 1 and Volume 2, brother Shannon? So you heard what my mufti said. Okay. No, don't. Okay. So, and okay. So no man said I have a PDF of the book saved to my computer. Okay. I get that. But have we read them? Do we understand them? Do we understand them? Because if we understand them and if we have a clear understanding, we'll say no. Because words have synonyms. It's just a lot of stuff explained a certain way. A lot of stuff is truth and falsehood is strangely mixed. But if anything is valid, it can be judged with your compass and your square. So everything that's good have to be read and dealt with a fine tooth, and a personal aspect have to be thrown away. That's the work that we have to do. So when I'm dealing with the clock of destiny, all the bias stuff, all the personal stuff, I have to get rid of. You know, all the stuff that I can prove from an unbiased perspective and historically, I have to deal with. But I have to go through it all with a fine tooth comb. And so when I ask people if they went through it all with a fine tooth comb, as a scholar, as an educator do, when they get a piece of wisdom, then what will happen? You will come with that analogy. You said, do not have a total comprehension of the literature. Thank you. See, that's why, thank you, Brother Nomad. So therefore, I would have to do a whole nother teaching on Clock of Destiny 1, Volume 1 and Volume 2. And after I complete it, probably I'll get halfway done, a person will be like, no, they know different. It's just like saying, well, Noble Drew Ali did deal with astrology. And then that's saying that you don't know what the ajna is and you don't know what the chakras is. Because the ajna is the same thing as your third eye, one of your chakras, or the pineal gland. So a lot of people don't understand the vernacular. When we're dealing with exhumed of the nation, when we're dealing with a little different science, it all tie together. A lot of people just gravitate to their own piece. When we talk about the comedic sciences, some say hermetic, but it's the comedic sciences, the tools in the toolbox. A lot of this stuff is old craftsmanship. Just like our Morse Quran is built up from Unto Thee I Grant, the Brahmin text, the Vedas, which is right in our Morse Quran, but a lot of people don't have the eyes to see that. So they can't speak, how can I say, from a valid perspective as I'm speaking on, you know? So from my perspective, I wouldn't say it's too different. Just like you got two different Muslims and all that. Yes, tradition. That's what keep everybody separate. If we got these same books and we can agree, then tradition is keeping us separate, and our lack of understanding is contradiction, our understanding or our understanding. What? Our lack of language, our lack of words. Because if we have the same books and we have their different sects, how can it be? It can't be nothing different. Now, your degree of understanding is like when we say heaven or hell, and we say it's two different type of Christians, because one Christian believe in an out of heaven or hell, which no one been, and then I can say it's a state of being. Those are not two different Christians. Those are somebody that's confused. That's not two understandings. That's a confusion, and the Creator don't deal with confusion. That's why it's made plain for a child to understand what I'm saying. So if the clock of destiny are tools in the toolbox to use, it can't be none different. If we're talking about tools. So when people try to say that, oh, it's a clock of destiny, what makes you a different clock? What makes you a clock of destiny? What? So you under who? CMB? Or you under someone else, under a piece of literature? But what about the wisdom? You mean? That's what I'm saying. What about the divine aspect? Because our prophet wrote a holy book. So are we dealing with a lot of people that don't agree and like to argue and base things on somebody? Now, here once again, when I tell people, anytime somebody got to make up something that they have these degrees and all that, and they don't have it, that means some type of inferiority to me. You don't have to say you went to this university and then a person can look it up and you have it. Now your Masonic degrees, that's great. Just like when I know Muslims and I ain't gonna say the name, but when he made up, like he got a degree from these places, and it was the same place him and Tank got them fake degrees. You don't have to say that if you study from your religious sector. You just have to say your wisdom is limited because you study from a religious perspective. You don't know for sure. You only know what was passed down to you by that person. You hope that oral tradition is right. So I agree with my noble Malik again. There's only one wisdom and two different mores because of their understanding. Ding, ding. Islam, Mufti Malik. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's why it's only one law and it's only one prophet. Absolutely, Malik. So when we talk about these things, it's the level of understanding. You can't, how? Like it's only one more. It's only one more science, only one prophet. It's only one Moore's Holy Quran. Now, when we dealing with all, like when one clock of destiny is talking about astrological signs, it's talking about calendars, it's talking about some other things, some other historical things. Yes, but it's also some things in there that need to be looked at with a good eye. So I don't know if that answered your question, brother Nomad. And then you have people that I know, and I have to say this: you can't. A lot of internet stuff is just not what it is. You have a lot of group of people on the internet that say they did the clock of destiny, and you got to pay to be in a group of clock of destiny. But then, what's the clock of destiny? Like, who's the people under the clock of destiny? What education, wisdom? Like, what wisdom? Like, what is it? And like, for all that, what do you get? Like, because I'm not dissing nobody organizations. That's not what I'm doing. But if persons say that they the clock of destiny, then that means it's a certain understanding. You know, you say why the Moors wear the fez different from the Shriners. Man, I think these are a lot of questions, brother. Like I said, a lot of people, no disrespect, a lot of people jump on here and start asking me questions, but I don't want to just answer a whole bunch of questions. But I answer this for you, Noble Shrine. You said why the Moors wear their fez different from the Shriners. What's different? The writing on it? You just, a lot of people answer their own question. We're not Shriners. We are the shrine. We went through the degrees. We're not Shriners. So I don't have a problem with writing an outward appearance on there, but I'm not a Shriner. They do wear the same fez. They just have pentagrams on it and circles. So they're showing an outward appearance because they took an oath. And not just Shriners, Black Masons too. Prince Hall Masons too. A lot of them don't wear the fez, but they took an oath. So it's part of their headdress. You know, and there's some other things that go with that. But a lot of, I would say, do you know any Masons? Most Masons not going to tell you that. Most Masons ain't going to say nothing, you know, about what's nothing going on. And I know a lot of people, they preachers are Masons. So they preachers should be telling them the truth. The preacher should be willing to answer these questions because they're the ones that's Masons. If a Mason, if somebody have a brother that's a Mason or a cousin, you should be able to ask your cousin or a Mason, what about it? And they can't. You know, and they can't, you know, you got to ask them why there's a little shorter there, why they tassel pinned down, why they took an oath. You know, I tell everybody we don't take oath. We initiate it through the wisdom, but an oath, what? Not to tell the people the truth. So a lot of symbology, what people wear was on it, and certain symbology is good and bad. The scimitar is good. The Asiatic woman is good. But then a lot of things denote or connotate or denotate to subjugation when people understand unwritten words. When it's dealing with something that's dead. When you're dealing with something that's black. And so that's what I tell people. I just be hoping people understand who they are instead of we worried about how other people operate and how other groups operate that may be doing things for show. Or like I tell people, a lot of things was good for misnumbered black people at a certain time. But once you go under that craft, now it's a job that we need to be doing because we shouldn't be telling nobody about no Greek god or nothing outside of ourselves. It shouldn't be. The history of this Masonic science, this Kemetic science, not this European science, not this Black Dead science. It must be taught from the right perspective. It's a book by Albert Churchward, and I recommend everybody got it. I converted to a PDF. Y'all can get it from me. It's called Signs and Symbols of the Primordial Man. I challenge everybody to read that. I know he won't. I know your elder friend won't tell you. They don't know. I call them the little Corvette men. A lot of stuff it be named after old ships and stuff. They won't tell you. Military ships. I know they won't tell you. My elder friend won't tell me that's a Shriner. I know he won't. Because to be one, you must know one. That's why they said, now I'm going to be honest with you. He feel that you ain't shit. Excuse my candor. Because they look at all other brothers as perverse. Even their children. I'm telling you what I know. And it ain't no disrespect. I pull out their charter. I have their charter. There ain't no disrespect to them. You know, it ain't no disrespect. I can't tell everybody I'm part of the Philosophical Research Society. So those things I'll be telling a person, ask your friend, your uncle, or somebody you know that's a Freemason and see what they say. See what it's all about. It's going to be some secret, but ain't nothing secret with me. It's sacred. And how can you have something good for your brothers and sisters if it's secret? All that outside stuff is meaningless. They tell you that they a damn widow son, which is the most asinine thing. How can you be a widow son? They don't have no clue. They wear a shirt on in memory of Haram Abiff and won't tell you in the Bible, Jabal, Jablum, and Jablum killed you and had a jubilee in the Bible. Those are the ones that killed the Asiatic man from Tyre. They don't tell you this. They don't tell you that what the Tupacane really means. So a lot of these things, if it's good for our brothers and sisters, what's the big secret? What's the big mystery? It shouldn't be a mystery. It shouldn't be if it's something right for us. Like the feds really is freedom. That's Leviticus 25 and 10. When you get the soft feds and turn inside, it's the Liberty Bell with the gong. When you're dealing with the people in the right parameter, that's why Masons wear the fez. That's why the European Masons, the ladies, which is the DAR, which is the Daughters of American Revolution, why you think they wear the white fez with the gold tassel? Because that represents the womb, the woman's birth cycle. That's why they came up with the marriage license. That's why I be telling my empresses, why you don't come home? You have to deal with that. And when you take your power, they have none. I'm trying to tell my brothers and sisters right. You got to deal with the right science. That's why our feds is not defiled. That's why Masons skirt and all that, because that was for them to do business. Why do you think all practicing Masons, the lower house is Christianity, the higher house is Islam? And the password is Assalamu alaikum. Ask your black preacher, that's a Mason. He know it. Catechism, Islam, same stuff. People can be mad at what I'm saying. So I don't know if that answered your question. I've been on here for about 2 hours. So once I said, man, I just challenge people to come to class. I challenge people to deal with this and ask the right questions and come and learn. Like, no European has the power to do nothing to you. It's only been your own people. That what Carter G. Woodson said, the miseducation of the Negro by our own preachers, our own teachers, our own politicians that confuse our people, that will steady lie to you with some subjugation bullcrap. They tell you we black, or the black Mason, the black Muslim, the black Christian, all that is a waste of time. All that is a waste of time, and every Mason know it. Every Mason know it. That's why a lot of our history is wrapped up in Masonry. Everybody know it. That's why I said, listen. When y'all get a chance, go on my page and pull up, or go on YouTube and pull up the European Shriner, give credit to Noble Drew Ali on his 135th birthday. Then you'll start looking at every brother that's a Mason cockeyed it. You'll start looking at every brother that's a Mason cockeyed, like, why y'all goofy Negroes try to act like, excuse my candor, don't know who Noble Drew Ali is. And then I'll pull out another paper, which all the Nation of Islam got. It's called The Negro, aka is the Blackamoor. And it was passed out to the nation in the 30s and the 60s. They all know. They all know. They all know. And I'm gonna stop holding punches. Most black preachers know. And that's why the Bible says it's qualifications to be a pastor. Seminary don't mean nothing. That don't mean you educated in nothing. Because if you were, why are you afraid to teach your people who they are in the Bible and history? What are you afraid of? That's all I try to ask all my people. Why we don't talk about nationality and spirituality? Why we don't talk about the 13th, the 14th, the 15th Amendment? Why we don't talk about manumissions? Why we don't talk about the Declaration of Human Rights, Article 15? Because they can't. That's why I'm telling you. Because the no disrespect, because the black Mason, which put dead in front of that, is silver mortis. Because the black preacher, the black Mason, the black Muslim, they cannot. You have taken an oath. What? To confuse your own people. These is facts. And if anybody want to feel any other way about it, you can't prove me wrong. See, but we got the document. They know our prophet was before all this. If that's the case, pull up Founders Day. Pull up Farrakhan giving credit to Noble Drew Ali, bringing this type of Islam to the North American Negro. See, I'm not dealing with no mystery God. I'm not dealing with nobody that we don't know who they are, or don't know who, or they don't know if this David for or that for. We don't deal with that. A prophet and an angel come from amongst the people that look like you. I'm not dealing with no mystery stuff. I'm not dealing with no pale Palestinian or a person to say this not it, but then in a document that the Nation of Islam have, that's David Ford in the back. Oh, it's not him. Then the picture that everybody got, did they say that's not him? But then this person's not him. And then we got record of the prophet turning over the temple to him. And I got that argument. I'm not going to have that argument. That's the waste of my time, with certain people. All I'm telling people is everyone under their religious perspective, under their religious thing. But I know, Brother Sean, no disrespect, I know a lot of people that's no disrespect, Muslims, they under Dianetics. And they can be mad all the hell they want to. They say about the white man is the devil, but you under Ron L. Holbert. And you can sit up here and play them games with me all you want to. certain people, but I know what it is. Why? Because I'm just attached to certain things. That's I know. They talk all that. Some people talk all that white man stuff, but you under Dianetics and you under Ron L. Herbert. But I thought the white man was the devil. Like I said, all the religious games, we all that black stuff, all that stuff is dead for me. You know, we call our, even no disrespect, even with my brothers and sisters, that's Christian. The Bible ain't no Christian book. The Bible is a genealogy book. The Bible talks about a plethora of things. The Bible is written in analogy, parable, and symbology and metaphors. If you don't know that, you out of jurisdiction. The Bible is not no Christian book. They call people Christians in the Bible to mock them. That's why they call them dumb Cretans, because they were stupid. They were mocking people. They were mocking Christians. They were followers of the way, or Jacobites. They wasn't no Christians. What is a Christian? Research the etymology of Christian. Anybody with a time is Cretan. Somebody that's maimed. I don't care what context you get in. Any context is dealing with something that's not good. Deal with the etymology of Christian. It's Cretan. And everybody know this. We're under false doctrine. That's why we under a spell. That's why we don't know who we are religiously and historically, because we got our own people sitting up on these stages lying to us. And that's what the scripture says. Woe to you, lying pastors. Woe, like a broken clock, y'all, is correct what? Twice a day? It's only one law. It's only one science. And religion is not going to get us together, because religion been separating us, and we got the same books. It's nationality and spirituality having a clear understanding. And if we are a people, we got to understand of who we are. All that other stuff don't mean nothing, because I can just go back to my African spirituality, to my Orisha and my Santeria and my Oshun, and be done with all of it. And be done with all of it. And be done with all of it. And when you see people talk about blood, what you think that when you see the chicken being torn on the roof by the European Jews, they got that from Africa. All this stuff is your culture. From the Santeria to the Orisha, to all that stuff, to the stars, to astrology, to the Dogon, all that is your science. Even the spirit molecule, DMT, that's in your brain. So these are the things that keep us down. And they say, oh, heaven and hell. Ain't nobody been to heaven and hell. Heaven and hell is a mind state. You don't know nobody that went to heaven and hell and came back and told you how heaven and hell was. You don't know. So we get caught up with spookism. We get caught up with things that no one can prove. And that's what they look at the misnomer black man. They say the black man is a beast. That's what the Europeans write in scholarship. Why? They compare black people as sardines. Why? Because these Negroes don't know who they are. What they gonna say? The first thing a black person say, they're a Christian. They won't even understand the Moorish science, and all God man knew they was Moors. All of them. Everybody know this. And then, okay, well, we ancient Amazigians, we still lost. And this is what I tell people. We got to let our own people and scholars tell our stories. Think about what I'm saying as I close, family. It ain't nothing that I said a person can say, nope, he just made that up. No. What I'm telling you is that a lot of people say things. Watch this. Just like the Willie Lynch. You heard people talk about the Willie Lynch. And I'm only using it for a speaking point. You heard Farrakhan speak about some Willie Lynch. Where? At the Million Man March. That's the first time most black people heard about some Willie Lynch. Well, I'm telling you, if a Farrakhan ain't that stupid to know Willie Lynch ain't real. I know people play on people's unintelligence and rile people up to get their head bust wide open. I won't tell no people about no stupid Willie Lynch, and I know it ain't real, and I'm an educator. Why the hell would I tell people some stupid stuff like that? I would want to bring people up and show them that what we did and the power that we had before we lost this and before we turned our back on our culture and said we were some Negroes. And let people call us Negro, black, and colored in some African Americans summit and get paid, or let the big six, those preachers, get split $250,000 to get us off of nationality. That's my mission, because we've been lied to by our own people. I told y'all, ain't no Willie Lynch letter. Ain't no Willie Lynch. I ain't a rich man. I'll bet anybody $100, and I ain't a lot, that you go get me a Willie Lynch letter from the Library of Congress. Any God man, Farrakhan, that at the Million Man March, that's made up. And that was to raw people up, and they let Negroes have that. The same way anti-Semitic is made up. And only people that can get reprimanded from that is people that's not scholars. Just like Dick Cannon had to apologize because he had Professor Griff on there and they were saying it's anti-Semitic. They wouldn't have did that to me because I would have came with their dictionaries, their encyclopedias, and I would have came where the whole anti-Semitic phrase come from and who made it up. And I would have rested my case. It would have been no rebuttal. You see, you don't have to come from no anger or nothing or trying to say this. No, it's written. I come with a Henry Ford book on the international Jew. I come with other books by Henry Koestler about saying what it is. So it's written. And that's what I tell brothers and sisters. It's false history. Roots not real. And black people each year, misnomer black people, they love that. And misnomer black professors be having kids, oh, this is program reading. To read some stupid Roots about some Alex Haley plagiarized from a European named Harold Colander, a book called The African that's made up. They use that to come up with the slave, the out of Africa story for Negroes to can believe that crap. Come on, family. This how we got played. Any questions? Is there any questions? That's why I said our whole history, everything about us need to change. And I ain't here to argue with no man religion. We got the same books. I bet you the 5%er, I bet you the Islam Muslim, I bet you the Hebrew Israelite won't sit down and have an honest conversation on the language and the history and the correctness of what they saying. Because if we dealing with mathematics, because men lie, women lie, numbers don't lie. I bet you it can be corrected. I bet you all it can be corrected, even across all jurisdictions, especially in the Christian house with my so-called brothers and sisters that's Christians. Especially with my Moors brothers, especially with anybody that unidentified as black. Anybody that's right now that's on my page that'll raise their hand and say, oh, I'm black people, I'm African American. What you mean you don't like black people, Kareem? And I'm gonna say, you too emotional. And that's the problem with misnomer Negro, black, and colored, and African Americans. Why? Because they emotional. Well, you don't like black? I don't identify as black, and you shouldn't either. You should be asking me, am I down with reparations? Absolutely. But black people not gonna get reparations. And we shouldn't be letting nobody call us black. That should be the main issue. No man-made religion that the average person know nothing about and don't know none of those people shouldn't even be having that argument. Shouldn't even be having that discussion. It shouldn't even be coming out our mouth. It's been too long, and we steady arguing over religious things that from a historical perspective, if you are a historian of the biblical scriptures, if you melanated, European, Albion, Tralodite, whatever you call yourself, you got to know from a historical perspective that the first church fathers, if we're going to be pertaining to a you and to nationality, were melanated. We're melanated. And now we can show that the father of civilization, that the misnomer black man is the father of civilization, proven by the Bible alone. You can prove that. If you're a biblical scholar, that's no biasness. That can be proven. Just like any other walk of religious history. When you're looking at a certain continent, it's a no-brainer what people was there. Come on. Like we have to stop the cap. So what I'm saying, man, I'm casting my net out to all my brothers and sisters. All that lower level science, we can have a clear conversation about it. But at the end of the day, them Nation of Islam brothers, Farrakhan is a Mason. And if they act like they don't know, Farrakhan know exactly who the prophet is. Because I'll pull out the document showing that they know who the prophet is. I'll pull out the document showing that they know everything what I'm talking about. Everything. So it's no difference. Y'all got to remember, Yahweh being Yahweh was under the FOI. A lot of these people was under FOI. Clarence X, that was gods of earth. A lot of these people went through these certain houses. The Black Hitler of Harlem. A lot of people went through certain things of wisdom or had their own thing going on, like Daddy Grace and Father Divine. They understood what the prophet was saying. They might have took it their own way, but as a people, we have to understand who we are and let and not get caught up in other people's affairs, and deal with some of the things that we can agree on and we can, how can I say, identify the right way. Because nationality is the order of every day. We're dealing with me. And once again, I love y'all, man. And thank y'all for taking time out y'all day. Any question? Anybody got any questions, man? My Mufti Malik on here, man. I challenge y'all to subscribe to our Temple and School page. I challenge y'all to hit us up. Brother No, man, I give you honor. Brother Shannon, I give you honor. Y'all, please subscribe to our Temple and School page. Nobles, if anybody on here gave a small donation, like I said, if you have it on your heart when you do, like I said, I wrote a plethora of books and the manuals. This to clear a lot of confusion up. Like I said, check us out. Check my web pages out. Come to class. Bring your child, and help us get to that next level. And any questions that anybody want, I answer them. I leave that right there as we close. Is there any questions that anybody want to have while my Mufti Malik is on here as my moderator? I give y'all honor. Is there anything anybody want to share? Is there any question anybody have? If not, we're going to be out of here. We've been 2 hours and 30 minutes. And look at that. 2 hours out of our day. Look how much we learned. And if you had your pencil and your paper, and if you was writing down all the peer-reviewed scholarly books that I came out of my mouth, I guarantee you would go on Amazon right now and be like, man, this man spoke up almost $3,000 worth of books. I told you, The Chemical Key to Black Greatness. I think that's by Thomas. I can't think of the scholar name. Research that. I told you Atlantis of the Latter Days. That might be out of print on Amazon. I told you Russia Icons by Vladimir Ivanov. It's another book that don't cost that much. It's called One World Tartarians. It's a must-have. The Golden Age of the Moors. Atlantis of Latter Days. You look those books up. That's those plethora of books. Oh, and it's a book called I forget the book by the scholar. I just showed it. It's by McIntyre. Criminalizing a Race. Criminalizing a Race by McIntyre. That book costs some stacks. Those books I just quoted cost a grip. The average people are not going to have them because you're not going to pay for them. And I converted them to PDFs, and you can get them print and binded. This is how we learn. This is how we go to the next level. This is how we can look at a lot of our teachers and a lot of our so-called preachers with that side eye. Just like Steve Coakley said, the Greek is a fraud. Just like Gerald Massey wrote, what's our brother name that wrote Stolen Legacy? George G.M. James, Stolen Legacy. That Greek history is nothing but stolen Egyptian history from scholarship. So why should we do this? Why should we keep going on acting like we don't know who we are? Because a lot of our people are not educators. And as I close, it's a difference from being educated and being taught. It's a difference from seminary and academia. It's a difference because I like hermeneutics, analogy, parable, symbology, dispensation. Like it's so much stuff in the Bible. I think it's in Matthew. It's a word called fulfill. In that context and the etymology, it's a Greek word. The Greek word is called pilero, to magnify, to bring back to its remembrance, because people was teaching false doctrine. So all these things must be revealed to the student to understand. And that's why they keep us away from a lot of things. That's why Bible study and Sunday school is from the Catholic diocese, and which a lot of people don't know. All Bible study and Sunday school lessons, those little pamphlets is from the Catholic diocese. You didn't know about that? Why you think pastors don't teach who you are and the liberation of who you are? Why? Because that means we'll never have nothing. Why nobody don't teach this in schools? Our rich history of who we are pertaining to nationality and spirituality. So, like I said, man, I give y'all honor and love. Please subscribe to all our pages. Go back on here and watch this. Hit me up. Tell me peace. I'm a real person. Like I said, y'all got my info. You got my office number, 602-473-8767. When you come to Sunday school and adapt class, all my information be going on at the bottom. I told you all my web pages, moorishhaberdasher.com, mypdfbooks.com, that's books with the Z, bindedbooks.com, ALO Design Pros, because we do all our graphic design, Mayat Son Tees, my other Mufti, Brian Hicks Bay, check out his album, Transportation of Raw Materials. My Mufti Malik on here, that's my moderator. He's our health and wellness trainer. We work out every weekend together. And so we do a lot together. We trying to build this culture, and everyone is invited. And once again, I thank every one of you, man, out the bottom of my heart for your time, man. And please get with us. It ain't about money, but we can do good things with money, and we can build our infrastructure, and we don't have to keep being wasteful. we can do it good. And we don't have to talk about what people said they were going to do and didn't do it because we didn't support them. We got the opportunity to support something that's real and build a brick and mortar that's already been done and be a part of it from ground up. So once again, peace.